that can get past a snipe. If you're going against Miner, Quick Cycle, Rocket, the Rockets are constantly getting cycled on top of the Sparkies. So I really hope he doesn't pull it out in game number 1. I'm okay with game 2 or game 3, but personally, if I'm Agony, I don't use it at all in set number 1. I'm here to show everybody that I don't need Sparky to win.
And Agony is working with Victor as his coach and analyst for this one. We'll see what they have cooked up so far. A slow start, Mohamed Light cycling his Rage spell, and Agony King just throwing out what you have to imagine was the emote that made him most excited of any when it finally made it into the pool.
Yeah, for sure. I really like that he's throwing that emote out there. You have to assume that he's not playing Sparky in game number 1, because otherwise I think he wouldn't even play into that. And there we go. We do see the Valk and the Night Witch. Still technically could be a Sparky deck, but I wouldn't assume so at this point.
Night Witch and Baby Dragon going to go ahead and meet the guards on the left-hand side. Fisherman, see, that's a nice setup here to eventually pull that Golem, although the Night Witch maybe gets in front. No, not quite. Lightning to clear the Fish Boy, Rage behind the Golem and the Baby Dragon. That's going to be a lot of damage early. Wizard goes to town on the right-hand side, but that's going to be a nice early salvo. Not quite an Elixir lead for Agony King, as the Evo Wizard is out and working for Mohamed, who now gets the King Tower activation. But still, the early lead all important here for the CRL monthly final newbie.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that he is running the Dagger Duchess. You can tell by the way he plays this match where he gets overly aggressive. He can lightning on offense and allow the Wizard to just walk back, because the Dagger Duchess is going to be able to take out the Wizard quickly. I don't think we saw it at all last month, and we're already seeing it in game number 1 here.
And take a look at this time, a slight adjustment as the Golem gets pushed to the outside lane, making just enough room for the Night Witch to sneak out and be the one picked up by the Fisherman. And you can see Mohamed's reaction here, knowing that barring something insane, that's going to be a GG, and there you go. Although he ran Night Witch in that deck, I see a little P.E.K.K.A bridge spam with Ram. So lots of different interesting options here for Agony King as Mohamed Light pulls out the log for game 2.
And Agony King again going with a Dagger Duchess. He sees something in the meta that a lot of other pros are missing. Potentially, we're gonna have to see if he's able to pull off this best of 3 victory against Mohamed Light.
And Mo looking like he's going a little bit faster than he did last game with the RG deck. And Agony King just happy to bide his time and let this night come to his side. Minor for Mo, no big surprises here. Will the bowler get the King Tower activation? Almost, and you see Agony a little annoyed, maybe living his name for a moment as he didn't quite get that timing and placement right.
I've played against Agony King 1,000 times. I've seen him for 4 years now. Never connected the dots with Agony being a thing that you could make a comment about.
Well, that's why I'm here, Josh. And little bowler piercing to get on damage. Lead from Mohamed Light, about 300 HP, maybe a little less.
Sending the Miner down low. The Ewa's on top will be able to take it out with 0 shots, I believe, from the Miner. Yeah, there we go. Tower able to take it out. But this constant pressure, I mean, that's the reason why we're not seeing Dagger Duchess. You have the Knight in front to, I mean, it's crazy, but a Knight doesn't even need to be Evo, but a Knight bridge, Miner in the back of the tower, it is so difficult to limit the damage from just that 6 elixir push.
And notice how right out the gate, Josh, that Mohamed Light, varying Miner position, has not gone to the safe spot yet in his first 2 exchanges, knowing that that NATO is out. Now we're talking about the graveyard counters for Mohamed Light. What are the keys for stopping graveyard?
Yeah, well, I believe he probably should have Poison as his last card right there, and that's a very nice Evo Bomber. If it can get the second shot, it does. Able to get a little bit of chip damage on top of the tower. We're going to have to see what the last card is for Mohamed Light. He's not going to need the Poison just yet, but I would assume Poison is going to be his last card, and that should be able to effectively defend.
Yeah, defended very nicely here. As time goes on, we'll see some of these bigger pushes develop from Agony King. Do you expect at some point, Josh, that Agony will make the calculation, given how heavy his deck is, right? Bomber's the smallest card. Most of his cards are pretty thick, that he'll choose to eat a miner to stack up for a bridge push?
Yeah, I would assume so, but the great thing about Agony King is that a lot of the time you can't even really predict his gameplay. He plays with such an aggressive style that you kind of just have to sit back and appreciate. And now granted, we're commentators, so we can't really do that. But his gameplay, it's so wild and out there that sometimes it's hard to really know what his thought process is and what he believes is the most. Oh my goodness, massive error. And that's pretty much just game right there. A 400 HP deficit, King Tower activated. This game could already be over.
And Agony a little confused, it seems, by that situation. As he sets up again the opposite direction. Thoughts on going opposite lane versus same lane choice for Agony?
Yeah, usually I see the heavier deck going same lane. It's kind of surprising to see that. And every single time, it's forcing out the Inferno Dragon plus another troop, whether it be a Bomber, an E-Wiz, even the arrows. He's not able to get really these super great pushes because he's going opposite lane. It's really shocking to see him continue to do that.
Inferno Dragon goes back to the middle again one more time. Miner. And now, once again, we see Agony splitting his elixir lane for lane. E-Wiz and the Inferno Dragon going left, Giant Bowler going right, Arrows taking the Goblins off the board, and now some dual lane pressure. Poison out defensively at the bridge for Mohamed. And we'll see, but again, with nothing really tanking that King Tower, these graveyards not able to get much damage.
Yeah, I mean, 17 seconds left. It's clear that Agony King is just trying to get one Evo Bomber onto the tower. He gets almost to the tower, but not quite. With the help of the poison on defense, that's going to be game 2 going to Mohamed Light. Clean defense. As soon as the King Tower was activated, it was game over just like that. Mohamed Light, way too strong to allow any mistake of that caliber.
You kind of were able to really nail somebody down, and how much the addition of more spells, Void in particular, has opened up the ability to we saw a triple spell here, and as you said, Mohamed's not as handcuffed as he might have been a year ago.
Yeah, and right there, Rage on defense. Learning a few interactions right there. Rage plus the Dagger Duchess, still giving up 0 shots to this day.
And is full-on Dagger Day for Agony. So maybe some bridge spam here from Agony King?
Yeah,
mentioned earlier he had been playing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the Royal Recruits plus the Ghosts. But Mohamed Light, in response, you never want to see the bomb tower when you're running Recruits. But an RG, wow.
RG Recruits, although they don't break up the Inferno Dragon, Void plus Electro Spear to clear it off. So Void Rage with this RG deck for Agony King.
Yeah, and he was really low right there, just kind of biding his time. And Mohamed Light, great timing right there, even with the Rage. Wow, okay. I feel like there had to have been a timing, maybe a second, like 1.2 seconds earlier, where had he gone in with a Goblin Barrel, the Ghost wouldn't have been able to help, and there wouldn't have been enough daggers left in the Duchess's hands. But right there, Agony King able to clean it up very nicely. Could have been a lot worse for him.
Almost getting into our double elixir time. So far, Mohamed Light untouched, and this princess is going to get more and more annoying as the game goes on.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that last card from Agony King. Right there, Inferno Dragon, not necessarily wasted, gets a little bit of value, but this is really good for Agony King. He can now set up with the Recruits RG. No bomb tower to protect him. This could be a nice little push going, but the Evo Valk plus the bomb tower, I mean, he just cycles so quickly. It's going to be tough for Agony to get past this.
And no champion either for Agony King for cycle, so that also changes some of it. So far, no champion shown by Mohamed Light either. Evo Valk really doing its work there despite the fish boy pulling her across the bridge.
Yeah, and I mean, since the dawn of time with log bait, the best way to play it, just protect your princess and you win. And so far, that's exactly what Mohamed Light is doing, consistently getting at least one princess on the board. Now there's two, plus the Evo barrel. This is definite trouble for Agony King.
Inferno Dragon at the bridge. That princess staying on there so long, she might have a cot somewhere on the board. And now RG in with a pretty big push. Bomb tower, 2 princesses, and really just nothing that Agony can do about them.
Another Evo Valk. And yeah, I mean, at this point, Agony King is just trying to make it to the tower once.
This has been shut down city so far as we approach the final 80 seconds. And there's been 2 princesses on the board pretty consistently throughout this game.
Yeah, Agony King, he doesn't cycle quickly enough to, I mean, really give the princesses any problems whatsoever. Mohamed Light, he can kind of choose how he wants to approach this game. If he just wants to defend for the rest of the game, he's going to be fine. I mean, there's no wrong answer for Mohamed Light at this point.
80% win rate with Princess in CRL this year for Mohamed Light, although, you know, you put that in context, he might just have an 80% plus win rate. He might have an 85% win rate, and that actually lowers his numbers. You know, that's how crazy it's been with him this year. And look at that bomb tower right back around. And Evo Valk, the fish boy, actually in some ways hurting the Royal Giants' ability to get to tower.
Yeah, even with the Rage helping out, Agony King not able to make it to the tower, but the Ghost is going to be a little something, getting the tower down to 2095. He's got one last opportunity, 3 princesses on the board for Mohamed Light.
Agony King experiencing something that many a CRL pro has felt, and that's the frustration of knowing that Mohamed Light has outmaneuvered you and shut you down.
On both sides, where they don't have this sewn up, they're not going to World Finals. This is basically feeling like their last chance, and I like this. Sandbox starts off with some bait against the bait master himself.
And Riley forced to fireball a princess, take the negative trade, although he'll get a little bit back elixir-wise with the Electro Spirit lead. Well, not the lead.
Wow.
Keep in mind here, we're seeing Cannoneer for Sandbox. So while he's untouched, more HP still remains on both towers for Riley, even despite all that damage.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of surprises. Riley's going with RG. Sandbox is going with bait. Sandbox has the Suspicious Bush, which I was not sure we were going to see at all today. Suspicious Bush and the Evo Goblin Cage. I'm very curious to see if we'll see played. But yeah, I'm happy to see it. Evo Valk was the other thing that I wanted to talk about from that last match, and Momo's ability to always have that Evo Valk cycle when he didn't have any other options available defensively was absolutely brutal to watch as an Agony King fan, or great to watch if you're a Mo fan.
Suspicious Bush, maybe the funniest card introduced to Clash Royale since Fisherman.
And the timing of it is so odd. Like, it takes so long to get to your tower. And then when it feels like it's on your tower, it's like another couple of seconds before it actually pops, and then the goblins come out. So a really unique card, the Suspicious Bush. I don't think that it needs defensive capabilities, because then I think it would be too strong, but it is missing something. And we'll see if Sandbox has maybe figured that out here. But in terms of like having a card in your deck that you cannot use at all defensively, there aren't many like that in the game.
Well, you know, I'd say a card that for many reasons brings up similar thoughts on its introduction is the Wall Breakers, right? That although they're able to distract in a way Suspicious Bush can't, the Wall Breakers, when first introduced, people just didn't really figure it out until we finally saw minor Wall Breakers played right before they got reduced from 3 to 2 elixir.
Yeah,
and
Tommy,
it's sort of
right?
yeah, Tommy, very similar feeling.
And and this Evo Valk putting in some work on that left-hand side for Sandbox, who has just done a great job. And this is what's so great about the Suspicious Bush. It is so cheap, and the relentless pressure can be so frustrating. And then if you're always baiting things out, like that Rage or like the Fireball or anything to distract it, it's just making your offense that much harder to put together. And yeah, Evo Valk has just been putting in work here. 619, 23, 35. Princess on the right-hand side with the Bush, and Riley has just kind of got his back up against the wall here, Rich.
Yeah, I think one thing we're seeing here with this bait Bush combination is, we've seen Goblin Barrel plus wall breakers before, but they both pace similarly. And you could see Riley just getting kind of frustrated. Of course, the winner here goes on to face Mohamed Light in the next round. So you picked up one of the most difficult first round matchups, and you'll go into the most difficult matchup in the bracket if you're able to get past this one here. And Sandbox going Mortar, and Bandit gets right on top of it, and this might be Mortar GY.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be 2 hits. Wow. And then the bowler, Rich. I mean, you could be correct, because this, starting off, it's the deck that we're used to seeing on ladder, which is Arrows, Bomber, Skeleton Dragons, Miner. And I think it still must be, right now that we see the Miner come out, it probably isn't GY, but the bowler definitely made me feel like it could be for a moment. Still could be. But definitely, but this is also what I was just talking about, of like, all right, you need to make a Frankenstein creation of what's working in the meta right now, and both these guys have done that. Ram Rider also really popular.
Yeah, I mean, Mortar Bowler Miner GY feels like a 2018 one of my decks, so
I'm actually surprised.
Probably not the case here.
I guess at the highest level, P.E.K.K.A is really not that good because she is so easily distractible. But there you go. Riley did bust out the Void, just like I was thinking. So hopefully Sandbox was able to figure out what exactly he wanted. Wow, MK. Yeah, and it almost feels like MK. What I was just about to say is that we haven't seen anyone play P.E.K.K.A, and P.E.K.K.A is super popular. Bridge spam is super popular, but P.E.K.K.A is just so controllable at the highest level, I think. So I actually kind of like the MK call. MK a little bit less easy to control.
And definitely here in this recruits matchup, you got to be happy to have MK over the P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, definitely.
And here we go.
That would be almost GG right there.
This bowler, though, certainly creating problems for Riley's Ram Riders. It does get a little connection there, but does not take the lead back. 23-50 on Sandbox's right-hand tower, 22-23 in the same lane for Riley as we go into double elixir time.
Yeah, and this is such an interesting push here on the left-hand side. I mean, really one of the biggest things about this deck, I mean, obviously, like I said, a little bit different than what's popular right now, but the Skeleton Dragons, because Void is so popular, Skeleton Dragons have really kind of screamed back into the meta because they're one of the few cards that make it just a little bit easier to defend against that Void, or it doesn't feel as brutal when your Skeleton Dragons get taken out by a Void, whereas like an Inferno Dragon or an Archer Queen or a Wizard, it is a lot more impactful.
You have to be careful about those Inferno Dragons playing the Cannoneer. We saw that sizzle start to creep up a little bit in that last moment. Recruits to cover, but that Zappy just in range of the big mitts of that Mega Knight. One mortar connection does get through on the right, and a big push trying to get on tower on the left.
I'm actually shocked at what happened with that push on the left-hand side. It looked like Riley would not be able to defend one of those sides well enough. And, you know, it's probably still GG with the amount of control that Sandbox has and the ability to get miners on the top of the tower. The other thing is, like, there's just no way to deal with all of his cards. Literally, you can void the Skeleton Dragons off the board, but, like, the Zappies, the Bowler, the Skeleton King, the Mortar, all of it, it's just so impossible for Riley to have any spell power.
And Void trying to do something here for Riley. That's absolutely shut down, and now he's down to 5 elixir. But he's facing, a dozen on the board right now, and this is just brutal. Brutal for Riley, and a huge first round performance for Sandbox, who's going to take this one and move on to face Mohamed Light in round 2.
And you know, I gotta say, was that Japan has had since the inception of CRL, it is crazy that we are looking at potentially missing the biggest names from that country, or anyone from that country, in our World Finals. Ta being the one guy coming through, which was really great for all the Japanese players, because I think we were all expecting Mugi to just do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think that... Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that Mugi's been having some personal problems that we won't get into, so I don't know if he's been really grinding Clash Royale as much, but it seems Ta is really kind of taking that place for their country, and he's been practicing a lot, and as we hop into the match, we'll see how that practice has come through for fruition here. We do have Lord Seb using his most used card, or his favorite card in the CRL, with the Evo Wizard. Arguably the best evolution, and it seems like Evo Valkyrie might be kind of making the Wizard have a run for its money lately today, especially. I think Evo Valkyrie is the undefeated evolution today.
Yeah, Evo Valkyrie is just, I think it's one of those cards that's like when it's wielded by the correct players, right? The best players in the world make delivery look like the best card. The lesser players make delivery a lot less impactful. I think it's very much the same thing in this conversation. Juicy, Demolisher, Magic Archer, and Wizard, all in one deck. What am I missing here?
Yeah, this is an interesting deck. I've seen something like this, but never all three. I mean, the Tornado is going to be the last card for Seb here. So the idea is just to use that drill, pair with at least one of these splash damage cards and the Tornado, get some good damage, similar to like even a Splash Art type thing. It's going to be interesting to see, though, how he can defend these Royal Giants, though, because he doesn't have a building, and he doesn't seem like he has a super high damage card. I mean, he does have the Monk, but if Ta's able to get that Monk in front of his RG to kind of counteract the other Monk, maybe we see that RG break through for the first time today. RGs have been some pretty hard time breaking through to their tower so far.
Yeah, they've definitely been struggling, and yeah, like you're saying about that Monk, you have to imagine that Ta is going to figure out a way to take that Monk out of the equation. So right now, Monk cycled early on, which means the Royal Giant could come down for Ta after this push is done. And there it is.
Royal Giant in the opposite lane, though, away from the opposing Monk, which is really smart. He goes for the pre-barbell plus a bomber onto the guards, and the RG is able to get 2 shots because of that. Wizard tries his best, but this is kind of what I'm talking about. Without that Monk in cycle, without a building, and only just all these, you know, I mean, kind of high damage spot cards, but not that, you know, like that mini P.E.K.K.A type of thing that you need. It might be difficult to stop these Royal Giants, and we see the Ta now up damaged by about 600-700 damage here.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a surprising interaction there from Seb, because, you know, you were talking on broadcast about like, oh, he doesn't have any building, it might be hard, we're going to use the Monk. He cycles the Monk left-hand lane, and then I think everyone in the world knows Ta's just going to go RG right-hand lane, because there's literally nothing you can do to stop the shot. And I think that that's something that Seb has to avoid. I mean, that's what we always try to avoid in Clash Royale, is like 100% damage coming through, right? You always want to make sure that you can mitigate that damage a bit, and I think Seb set himself up to not mitigate any damage there, and he didn't get anything for it. If you're going to at least take some damage, at least get some good damage in the opposite lane, but still down by about, 1,004 HP.
Another Royal Giant plus bomber at the bridge. I'm loving these predictions. He does have the Tornado, though. Tornado is super strong. And look at this Monk on the left side, though.
Yeah.
Now both towers down to 1,200. And when you use that Tornado on the defense, then you don't have it for the offense, which is why I really would like to see Seb go same lane as his opponent here, so he can use those Monks on the defense and maybe build a counter push. You have to do that with sort of the deck, but it's not that easy, especially when you're just going against that opposing Monk. Oh my gosh.
And this is also just like, you know, we talk about decksmanship, and I don't know, I feel like there's just some utility missing in this deck from Seb, and we'll see if, you know, we'll see if he's able to use NATOs and DPS effectively enough every single time, but like, Ta is barely supporting that RG and still getting a shot.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, you either have to use the drill on defense or the Tornado on defense, and even with that Tornado there, the RG still making through. He's going to apply some pressure on the right side here, going same lane, but look, the Bomber's really good versus the drill. So is the Barbarian Barrel, so is the E-Spirit. And other than that, I mean, everything's blocked. Even the Royal Giant prediction for that Magic Archer with the Bomber and the Barb Barrel. You see Ta kind of wiping his face there. He already knows this game is over as he sends that last Fireball in. GG's to Ta. And I think this is kind of what we expected, the casters anyways.
It's actually a really good call. I think you're just hoping for a little bit too much if you're Lord Seb here, and then like you said, if you run into something like the Monk, then your whole deck kind of falls apart. Whereas if you look at Taw's deck, obviously it's just like a meta deck. There's E-Spirit in there, there's the spell in there, there's the champion in there, you know, there's all the things in there that you want to be in there. So we'll see if Seb can reset here in game number 2, or if our monthly champion can keep this run going. Mother Witch, first time we're seeing her today, and Firecracker. And the Goblin Evo Cage, or the whatever it's called. The Evo Goblin Cage, there we go.
Yeah, second time we've seen Evo Cage today. I think it's gonna be pretty good versus the Hog Rider, honestly.
How do you feel about Evo Cage?
I think Evo Cage is solid. It's not like super overpowered. I think it's exactly what an Evo should be. It should be something that has a unique ability, but not change the game in a crazy way. And I think that's what it does. You know, the Cage is going to do a great job versus the Hog Riders, but the Earthquake is still going to be able to take it out. So it kind of will act as a normal Cage in that way. But if that Earthquake is never in cycle, or if you ever get a crazy amount of value with that Cage, like right here, it has a lot of opportunity to get lots of value. Even this Cannon card, you can see Seb kind of shaking his head. He knows it's a mistake, because he should just let this... Yeah, if he just lets the Cage do its thing there, right? Then that's the power of the Cage. You're gonna be able to stack up a bunch of elixir, almost like an elixir pump. Because you play a Cage, it doesn't get taken out, and the Hog Rider's gone. You can play that Cannon card all the way in the back once you're full and make a huge push off of it. That's what could have happened there.
Definitely. I mean, and also when you look at what you're going up against, the cannon cards in the back is going to be a big key to victory here if you are Lord Seb. The more that you can get those on the board, the more that they can kind of control the map, the fact that they cannot be spelled off the board, and then maybe you're baiting out more Firecrackers. But right there, we see a Firecracker up high from Ta, getting just a little bit of damage.
Yeah, and I think that's something we're going to see a lot in this match, since Seb doesn't have, you know, a fireball, he doesn't have an arrows, he doesn't have a barbarian barrel. He's going to constantly have to use that fireball to try to clean off that Firecracker. But if you're constantly doing that, the other thing that's going to happen, especially with Ta having two elixir cards and that log too, you're going to get out cycled. That's what's happening already right here. The Firecracker's on the board, Fireball's not quite back in cycle. It's getting really good value versus the Cannon card. Maybe
Bro, Ta is
dialed.
I love it. He's making great predictive plays, great decks. He's playing so patiently and calm. His Firecrackers are infuriating. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to see after not seeing him a lot the last couple months.
Yeah, I mean, even the Earthquake and Log on the Mother Witch take that out. Using that 3-card cycle, constantly having his Evo, Firecracker, and Tesla in cycle. I mean, this is a perfect example on how you can play, or how powerful Hog EQ can be at the highest level. It's getting, I mean, and once again, look at this Firecracker. We already talked about it. You know, the log is enough to take it out.
And Ta is laughing at this point because Seb has just spent so much elixir to allow that Firecracker to connect like 3 times. Brutal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Ta's looking like Muhammad Light right now. Look, he's taking no damage on his towers. He's controlling the match completely. Wow, I mean, he's just really not giving Seb any room to do anything.
That was a nice high Mother Witch there from Seb looking for the skeletons, but again, Ta's just in the zone.
Pigs ops the lane. First time we see the wing condition from Seb, but there's a Tesla, some Skellies, and the Firecracker from the off lane is helping out. Those piggies are never making it to this tower. We are into sudden death overtime. At this point, you know, Todd doesn't really need to take the tower, though. He just needs to keep having this super solid defense, and that will be enough.
Ta with a 60% win rate with Hog Rider, so definitely not his best win condition, but looking like it is right now. And still the Firecracker connects.
What? It just ignored that Cage, went straight to the Firecracker. Now the tower's down to 406. I think this Firecracker has done more damage than the Hog. I mean, I know this Firecracker has done more damage than the Hog Rider in this match. This Firecracker is almost the main wing condition for Ta right now. An absolute Firecracker masterclass.
I feel like Ta is about to start his villain era with all the smiling that we're seeing here. And
then that, you know, 6th, 7th, 8th place.
Yeah, so you're saying this, but you also voted for Sub. So you you still believe in the talents and what he's accomplished so far, that it should propel him in this matchup, correct?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. I know that you, Josh, are one of the only people to take Grieco on the predictions here, but having it be his first monthly finals this year, I just don't think that I can, in confidence, choose him. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but talk to me again about why you think Grieco has a solid chance to beat Sub in this match.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Grieco, I've been such a massive fan of him for the longest time ever. He's one of those players where every time I would watch him, I would learn from him. Every time I would watch him, I would say, wow, I wouldn't have done that, as I watch him take the tower. And I personally would have lost that match, 9 out of 10 times or whatever it was. So I loved what I've seen from him. But even after just seeing the first 20 seconds of this match, I'm seeing him use an RG, Sub using bait, and so far it feels like RG just isn't the right deck to use. So as I'm saying all this, I'm thinking to myself that Sub probably has the advantage in this matchup just because of the decks that we've seen so far, even 4 seconds into the match.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you on Grieco's massive talent. Whenever I play him on ladder, I get destroyed. Here comes the Evo Goblin Barrel. Ooh, but he used the Barbell on the wrong side. The real barrel's on the right, getting a massive amount of damage. And I'm also going to agree with you on the matchup here. I do think that we've seen a similar matchup like this so many times already today. An RG Monk versus an Evo Valkyrie. And the Evo Valkyrie just shreds that RG push every single time. And that quick cycle is going to mean he's going to have that Valkyrie cycle very often, not to mention just the building and the quick cycle to always have something. On the other hand, what do you think that Grieco has to do to actually break through and actually win this game? Or maybe it's not possible in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm super upset that you got to it first, because I promise you, I was going to ask that same question to you.
Oh, I can answer if you want.
Okay, yeah. Let's flip it. All right, you take it away. What is Grieco supposed to do in this matchup?
Okay. I think it's going to come down to the Evo Bomber. We have seen matchups like this so far today, but usually we've even seen a harder counter where Sub would maybe even have an arrows for the Evo Bomber. I think if he can get a very solid Evo Bomber connection, when that Evo Valk is not in cycle, that's important, because if the Evo Valk's in cycle, then it's just going to pull the Evo Bomber straight in and take it out. But if you can somehow get a nice Evo Bomber connection on tower without the Evo Valk in cycle, that's the way to do it. You need that Monk, RG, Evo Bomber. Other than that, I just don't think it's going to be enough to win the game. All the stars have to align here for Grieco.
Yeah, and right there, the stars almost aligned for him. He was almost able to get the Phoenix on top of the tower. I was ready to interject, say like, oh, look at this push. But instead, Sub, with brilliant defense, able to get the exact right timing, the exact right placement. A brilliant play from him. And yeah, Sub is just doing a great job of controlling this matchup. On the right side, and again, Grieco can't get it correct. I understand I would have done the exact same thing. The right side has, a lot less to go, so I would have predicted the bar barrel on the right side, but Sub doing a great job. And I mean, that's how you play log bait. You want to constantly be flipping lanes. You want the end result to say you've done 6,800 damage to the towers because you have the left tower down to 800 HP and the right tower fully taken out. So I love what he's doing. I love how he's attacking. And I mean, even right there, you are going against RG. The King Tower doesn't really mean all that much, but it's still absolutely valuable to get down. Sub putting on a clinic so far in this matchup.
Yeah, an absolute clinic. Look, we have 2 Valkyries on the defense. The Evo Gombrel's in cycle already. He mirrors. He whips out the mirror. The Barbarrel is in cycle. Mirror last card is insane. This might be the first mirror we've seen in Clash Royale League and since maybe the mirror meta. Whoa. Here's a huge push though. 2 Fishermen. The Monkey ability's back. Deflects the Dark Off and the tower. Bomber's dealing with the Goblins. Royal Giant is full health. Fireball drop down. 11 seconds left. There's Fishermen's locking on the tower. What is happening, Josh?
Oh my goodness, 4 seconds left. Grieco is going to be able to take this. Why Fisherman on the board? And then the Valk got 1 shot, but then the Monk pushed the Evo Valk away. It got stunned, wasn't able to get off a second shot, and then it just snowballed that quickly. The Evo Valk got deleted from the map so quickly that you couldn't even remember it was placed down on the map.
Wow.
And that just can't happen. The Evo Valk has to get, I mean, just save the mirror for the Valk. A level 12 Valk is going to be able to destroy the push just as well as the Evo Valk would. You have that option. You cannot get aggressive in the final 25 seconds like that.
Yeah, I think that kind of shows the difference between Sub. Obviously, great player, but it shows the difference between him and someone like, you know, maybe Muhammad, like the best player in the world. I'll use an example. Muhammad in that situation is going full defense. We've seen him do it so many times. He'll just get that damage lead, and he'll just hold on to that damage lead with really solid defense. But Sub, on the other hand, you know, I'm not, for whatever reason, he wanted to extend that damage lead a little bit longer. Maybe even he was just trying to take that tower at the last second with the mirror barrel, but too much elixir spent because that mirror barrel costs 4 elixir instead of 3. And then, like you said, I mean, if he could have just used that mirror Valkyrie on defense, he probably could have defended. But enough talk about the last game. We're already a minute and a half into this one. You have Pekka, Bridge Fam, mirror matchup, almost exactly. What are your thoughts on this matchup in the Pekka mirror, Josh?
Yeah, so first of all, super interesting to have the Pekka just even be a card that we're seeing in CRL. It's super exciting to see that. Right there, Sub getting pretty aggressive with the Ram Rider because Grieco's Ram Rider first targeted the Pekka. Sub's Ram Rider is going to make it to the tower, so a good situation for him. I mean, really, it was a 1 HP Pekka that just got 1,000 HP worth of damage. Right there, able to sort of climb back into it. Sub gonna be running Bar Barrel as the only different card. We're still waiting to see what Grieco has in store for us. Good Ghost right there to get that down in time so that way the Bandit doesn't get the dash on top of the tower.
Yeah, normally you do see an Electro Spear in this deck. Obviously, he used Electro Spear last game with the Roll Giant, I think. He also would have used E-Spear already versus some Ram Riders, so I'm also interested to see what this last card could be. Overall, I mean, I've been playing a little bit of Pekka recently. In this mirror matchup, it's really weird. Mirror matchups are always weird, especially for me, but I think the Evil Wizard is the most valuable card, the card that you need to protect. You need to be able to predict those void spells that drop onto the Evo Wizard especially, and make sure it gets as much value as possible so you can win those bridge battles like we're seeing right here on the left-hand side.
Yeah, and right there, oh, wait, oh my goodness. I think he missed the Void on the first one, but then the Bar Barrel pushed it off to the side, so then he was going to hit, but then Sub was able to protect it with a Bandit on defense. So really crazy interaction right there. Again, Sub's Ram Rider's getting to the tower. He's getting the damage that he needs, and I don't think Grieco is going to be able to get anything down in time. He's forced to use a Void on defense. So Sub, coming back from game number 1, recognizes his mistakes, playing a little bit more cautiously, trying to make the right interactions constantly. And so far, Sub, we said this at the beginning of the game in the first one, again, putting on a clinic, this time in a mirror match, which is considerably more difficult.
Ram Rider left, Arrows is last card, another spell. This Ram Rider seems like it is going to connect. The Zap does stop it though, and the Bandit and everything is cleaned up pretty well as well. Wait, no, the Bandit connects. Bandit connects, that's a massive amount of damage. We're heading into triple elixir here, and Sub is continuing the pressure on the left-hand side.
Yeah, so far, I mean, the Bar Barrel is going to be very valuable in this matchup because you get to use the Bar Barrel on top of the Ghosts, on top of the Bandits. It's one card that you can consistently cycle, and it's just always going to get value. So, I mean, it makes sense. When you look at this deck on paper, you say, okay, Sub should have the matchup just because of the Bar Barrel. It should be great of that not being the case if you're Muhammad Light. So it's definitely possible, but it does get considerably more difficult. Game number 3, everything on the line for these players. Again, this is the last monthly finals. No more opportunities. I mean, there's a community event here or there, but basically no more opportunities. These players are fighting for their opportunities to make it to the World Finals.
Yeah, Grieco on the other hand, he needs to get that golden ticket today.
Yeah.
So he almost needs to win this more than Sub if he's really ambitious to get that golden ticket and go to the World Finals. We see a Hog EQ versus a Minor Mortar arrows kind of bait type of deck here. I already feel like, though, with the arrows, though, that maybe that's already just assault advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say that I was thinking it was going to be lava from sub because the first 5 cards are all lava deck, but it does appear to be the mortar deck. Is this going to be the Skeleton King variant coming from sub?
I would say it could be. I think that a lot of different things can fit in that spot, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Skelly King, a Monk, or maybe even just a normal tank like a Knight. But I think Skelly King makes the most sense. Skelly King is pretty interesting in the meta. It's just used in this one specific deck. I think it's mainly used, though, as a solid drill counter, since drill is fairly popular. But looking at the rest of the matchup, though, I definitely do think sub has the advantage for sure. He has the arrows for that firecracker, and the Skelly Drags can be very difficult to deal with. The Earthquake, he does have the, Greeko does have the Earthquake for Mortar, but the Mortar's probably one of the most tanky cards in the game, so it's gonna be hard to break through, but he has the Giant Skelly. Maybe that'll give him the opportunity, but a Bowler, Josh.
Yeah, Bowler again getting played today. This is the second time we've seen it so far. Always really entertaining to see it be played. Right there, a hog push on the left, no mortar in response. So sub gonna give up 2 shots to the mortar, I believe. And yes, we do see that. And the Tesla should also be able to clean up these Skeleton Dragons pretty easily. Skeleton Dragons are one of my favorite cards because I always feel like they do no damage whatsoever when I play them, when I play against them.
Yeah.
And yet somehow at the end of the match, it feels like they're the MVP every single time without fail.
Yeah, very interesting card. I mean, I'm with you. Like, it seems like they have low health. They have low damage, like individual damage. But over time, the DPS can really stack up. I do like how Greeko is controlling them, though. He's using that Tesla as that air defense to try and clean those up. And Greeko have actually a lot of damage right now. And he's even forcing the Evo Mortar on defense. You can see Greeko kind of, you know, maybe feeling some nerves here or shifting in his seat here because he knows that he's very close to taking sub down right now.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to cycle quickly, potentially get off another hog if he chooses to do so. We should see the defensive log. Will the bomber get on top of the tower? It won't just yet, and the bomb should explode on top of the bomber. So defense from Greeko, but he didn't get the hog down in time to outcycle the mortar. That's fine. Obviously, you have to protect. You got to protect the paint before you can start going in on offense. And so far we've seen Greeko start to abuse the Teslas up high, and that's something that it feels like an evolution within Clash Royale where players are starting to recognize these buildings aren't just for defense. You can use them offensively, and it's so interesting. That's like the one fresh thing from this year that it feels like it's been recently introduced.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I'm a little bit quiet right now. I'm just trying to analyze this match. It's just so fascinating. I feel like sub needs to be going same lane as his opponents because of that bowler, so you can defend and maybe counter push. But at the same time, there's that giant Skelly there, which kind of blocks that lane a lot of the time. So maybe he does have to go off lane. Either way, sub is down a solid amount of damage, only 30 seconds left. I'm not sure if he's able to break through.
Yeah, this giant skeleton is putting in so much work, blocking the entire left lane. And right there, that is a great recognition from sub, trying to go in with the right lane. I just don't think it's going to matter. Can he protect against this mortar? If he does, he wins the game.
Yeah, we have a minor Evo bomber at the bridge, but the Hog Rider's there to distract. Prediction arrows inbound do not hit the guards. And the time runs out, and there it is, Greeko with maybe even a bit of an upset, taking sub down in game 3. You can see...
I've seen so many players be quote-unquote one tricks and then be able to expand. Riley, of course, maybe one of the best examples of that in recent memory. Both Riley and his friend Ian, both known for bait and Hog Rider respectively, certainly expanded their macro understanding beyond that. The question here is, has Agony King done that as well?
Yeah, and one thing that it seems insignificant and it seems so tiny, but the fact that he's only using Dagger Duchess, if you know that it's going to be the tower of choice for your opponent, you can easily set up decks against that. And it feels like that's what Riley's done. With a bunch of tanky cards, the Bandit is going to retain 20% health, and just a lone Bandit will take out, 1,000 HP on top of the tower if Agony King isn't able to respond. The Ghost, again, another card that's going to be able to take out a lot of the tower. So the fact that he continues to use the Dagger Duchess, it's small, but it's huge at the same time.
And avoiding against that Bandit, and that sequence could not have gone worse for Agony King, down to 1332, and you can already see wearing some of the frustration on his face.
Yeah, right here we should see, okay, and then Riley is going to be using the E-Spirit variant that I think Juicy was talking about it, or maybe Andrew, but yeah, the E-Spirit variant is definitely by far my favorite to watch, because it resets the Ram Rider when you don't have the Zap and Cycle. It's just very valuable. Right now, Agony King's deck is so funky. It's not exactly the P.E.K.K.A deck that we're used to seeing. The Evo Bomber, the arrows, I'm not sure if I love it, or I at least don't mind it. It's a very entertaining deck from him.
Goes to the right-hand side. We'll get a little bit of work done. Evo, or just the Wizard Classic. Try to clean that up. Good protection there with the Royal Ghost. Arrows have to come out to do some more work behind. And now Agony has to deal with the Ram Rider on the right-hand side. Chooses the Ram Rider of his own to counter.
Yeah, Riley was in a bit of a situation. The Bomber's going to get 2 shots. Riley's E-Spirit didn't really get the value he was looking for. The Night Witch didn't spawn the bats just yet, so it kind of flailed around, got a little bit of value, but didn't get any value at all. And Agony King able to get the game pretty close. All these towers are damaged, hurt, but still have a decent amount of HP left.
1998 on the right-hand tower. Agony King needs to put some troops to follow that leader and try to get on there.
And so I've seen people, once the game gets down to overtime, whether it be triple elixir or double elixir, can he get the Bomber on top of that tower? He does. Does the E-Spirit chain in time? It does. So good response from Riley. But I've seen people just get very aggressive with the P.E.K.K.As, go right at the bridge. I'm wondering if that was an opportunity for Riley to just win the game outright when Agony King put that P.E.K.K.A low.
Ghost working on the right-hand side. Ram Rider does get through for the connection, 708, and just like that, Agony King, with 75 seconds left, does have the lead.
Wizard in the back protected, and so Riley has the opportunity. He has the Evo Wizard fairly healthy. He can go P.E.K.K.A bridge, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, I want to see the Ram Rider in on the left lane. No, he's going to go to the right. And so we're going to have to just see what he can accomplish with this push.
And you see Agony just choosing to eat all that damage on the left-hand lane, knowing he does have some HP to give. But that HP is beginning to dwindle here. Ram Rider in, 37 seconds left. Void on defense. Ram Rider will connect, though. That's a huge connection. 2:03 remaining, and that might be the dagger in the Duchess that gets it done for Riley.
And right there, Riley using the Void on top of the troop. If he can't defend this, it could be a little bit of trouble. It's not going to matter. He's going to be able to get the Void out in time. Riley going to take game number 1. Back a card that you can't use in this kind of deck, because you need the Golem Night Witch to be a potential matchup that your opponent has to worry about. You need even the E-Giant Night Witch, even E-Golem Night Witch is something that you have to be a little bit cautious, a little bit wary of for Agony. So as interesting as it was to have in the deck, I actually just would have preferred for him to save it right there.
So looking like Hog for Riley. Very quick cycle with Evo Skellies and Evo Ice Spirit in this one. Could be pigs as well.
Yeah, it's looking like it's Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be the Royal Hogs delivery Tesla deck from Riley. Agony King probably just running RG.
And should get the King Tower activation here. No, the Duchess does him dirty and can't get the King Tower activation because of it. Inexplicable. I'm very curious to see if he addresses this in some way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Live by the dagger. Die by the dagger. Wow. That's not an interaction we see very often. Riley making a mistake that I'm sure a lot of us at home would have made as well. I'm shocked that the towers weren't able to take it out in time. That's not something we see happen all that often.
And this is definitely a challenge for Agony King as his monk gets shut down, takes a bunch of damage on the right-hand side. Certainly the lightning nice for the queen, horrific for the piggies.
Yeah, and lightning's such a weird card because you have the monk for the archer queen. It's obviously not a direct counter. It's not like all that brilliant against it. But the lightning, it's just too expensive. Riley wants to go quick paced. He wants to be fast. So the lightning just, it feels like, I mean, this is why we see the rage, we see the fireballs in this deck, because you need to go quick and not allow your opponent to just cycle the way that Riley is going to be able to in this game.
And that was at least a somewhat fortuitous exchange there for Agony King as the monk picked up the Archer Queen rather than the Phoenix. And now just a 6-5 trade for Agony King to get that queen out of the way. And here we go, dual lane pressure. Can he make something happen?
E-Spirit does get the jump just at the very end. Another cannon in response for Riley, so he should be able to clean this up pretty nicely. This is going to be a little bit of damage. Gets the second shot, so gets his tower down to 1870. A decent situation for him, but now that we're 47 seconds away from triple elixir, the Royal Hogs should be coming quick and heavy.
Here we go, RG down. Fishboy gonna go to that cannon. Evo Skelly's log to clear gets them all. Monk doing some reflection work.
Very clean gameplay right there. Picture perfect with every single interaction. The Ice Spirit just quick enough to make sure that the RG doesn't get the shot. The cannon down just in time. Everything working out in Riley's favor.
RG getting absolutely murked today in Clash Royale competition. We'll see if in the next 65 seconds can Agony King change that too. Archer Queen down, and no, goes to the monk, not the Royal Giant. Opportunity opened up. Cannon played low to the left. That RG still has some health. Will it connect? It gets one on the left-hand side, gets two on the left-hand side. Lightning played, RG in on the right-hand lane, log to clear, and suddenly Agony King with a big-time lead. Can he hold off against the onslaught? Log prediction against the E-Spirit and the Skeletons. Damage will not be enough. 436 to 417. Hogs plus EQ log for Riley, and that log should be enough. GG, well played, back to back.
Including you, like we've had those situations where we're top 30 on ladder, we get hard countered 6 times in a row, and we've done that 3 months in a row, so we're just kind of done. So it makes sense that they're emotionless.
So here we go. Seb and Sub, and Lord Seb continuing the trend of our meta being maybe the most diverse of the year. Going with a lava first play, immediate bandit opposite lane. Sub trying to elicit a response, and Seb says, go ahead, spend whatever you want over there. Here's a balloon too.
Lava balloon, the wizard is on the board. The void is going to help take this balloon as well. Before it even gets that hit,
boy.
What amazing defense. And this specific wizard placement was also placed in a spot where the void couldn't take it out because the tower is ready to block. Not to mention the wizard getting the perfect timing in there to clean every single lava pup. You can't ask for a better start if you're a Sub here.
Good damage on both lanes as well, as he will set up another RG, or Royal Ghost, the other RG, into the right-hand lane. Shout out Andrew Guy. 1392 on the right-hand lane. So we've seen the first exchange, Juicy.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the matchup as we get past this opening moment?
I think it really depends on what the second ground card is for Seb, and we see the guards. I think the guards give a pretty solid advantage for Seb here because, you know, you don't have much air defense, if all, really any air defense other than Wizard on sub side. Now on the other side, you do have an Evo Valkyrie and a guards to defend everything. That being said, these Evo Wizards are doing a great job, and unless you have Evo Zap plus Void and Cycle with this placement that you're using for the Wizard, it's very hard to stop. And here comes a P.E.K.K.A plus Wizard push. I mean, I might be wrong altogether here. This looks really scary.
Evo Zap going to work on the P.E.K.K.A and the Evo Wizard, but the Zap the opposite direction. Bandit in, Void takes the Wizard off the board, but look at this. P.E.K.K.A gets to tower, and Sub is just running downhill against Lord Seb. Guys, can we please get some variation in your names for this matchup?
Yeah, P.E.K.K.A connects here as well. This King Tower is looking low. The Princess Tower is looking low. Here comes a Lava Hound at the bridge, trying to protect the Wizard with the Barbarian Barrel. You need to take this Wizard down, or else you're not going to be able to break through at all. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe even you do break through, it doesn't really matter, because look how low the other towers are.
And Void to clean up at the bridge. Pups won't do much. Seb goes with the gamble. First time using Lava Hound in CRL this year. Those decks pretty much still free for him, minus the guards. So we'll see if Seb chooses to run something back here, opens up with goblins.
We do see another Cannoneer today, and Sub the one of the Evo Valk this time. Already looking like that Valkyrie might get some good value versus the Goblins and the Demolisher and a Goblin Barrel, Evo Goblin Barrel.
And Seb with the, you see him tilt the head there as he put the bar barrel on the outside rather than in the middle, take a little extra goblin spot. And hey, we're seeing Sub come out here with this sneaky bait deck that was so fun to watch in our opening match of the day.
Yeah, I hate this deck, I'm not gonna lie. It's so annoying. There's so much to deal with. There's the Princess, there's the Dark Goblin, the Evo Barrel is gonna be very annoying to deal with as well, and then that sneaky, that Suspicious Bush. I mean, I never thought it would be, I didn't think it would be very good when it came out, but it seems like it's always there just to be annoying and to force out something. Just kind of a nice secondary win condition. We talked about at the beginning of the day of how it's kind of like wall breakers, except you can't use on defense at all because it's always invisible. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can use it on defense. Really very good defense versus the drill. I'd never thought about that.
Yeah, so we see the deck that Seb ran in his first game today. Guards out, goblins in. But as you mentioned, just as we saw that, the Suspicious Bush working against that drill, giving Sub now a few different options between the Bush, the goblins, and the Valk.
Yeah, and also on Seb's side, you know, this isn't a normal log poison drill cycle deck. This is a drill deck where Tornado is your only option for a spell. So especially those goblins and that Suspicious Bush, they're gonna do a great job of defending. And even when you don't have those, the Valkyrie is one of the best counters as well. At this point, Seb really needs a Magic Archer connection. I think a Magic Archer connection is the only way he wins this.
Has to go defensive against this Dark Goblin and Valk instead. Does have the lead at the moment, 18-17 to 23-18. Uses the NATO to clear some leaves out and get the Demolisher going to work.
Valkyrie connects on the left, get a little bit of damage. Here comes the Suspicious Bush at the bridge. And once again,
this is interesting.
Just so annoying. Look at it, it's so annoying.
Goblins do turn around to pick it up after the cover does go away. Drill in on the right-hand side. Plus Monk, plus Evo Wizard. Evo Wizard pops, gets a little bit of room here. Look at the damage down on the bottom right-hand side as that Evo Drill starts moving around. 1262 and a connection for the Demolisher on the left. Here we go. Evo Barrel.
Wow. Evo Barrel perfectly picked up here. Barbarrel one side, Goblins the other. The Wizard even helped out. And the Wizard helps versus Suspicious Bush as well. So all this splash damage from Seb is actually giving a nice advantage for him. We talked about how Sub has good counters to that drill. But on the other hand, I mean, how do you break through with these barrels and with these bushes versus a Demolisher, a Wizard, a Barbarrel, and the Tornado?
Does take one from the Goblin on the left-hand lane. Final minute. Triple Elixir lead is only about 400 HP right now for Lord Seb. And of course, you know that any sort of bait deck can stretch you thin in the late moments. Keep in mind, no direct damage available for Sub here. He does have to get on tower in order to do damage.
Wow, I mean, it seems like Seb, after missing that first Barbarrel versus the Goblin Barrel at the beginning, is now fully keeping track of where every little Goblin is. Even versus the double barrels, he has not missed a single Goblin, either having the Goblins, the Barbarrel, or a splash damage card to hit every one.
So these last few minutes here, we're continuing to see Seb only play defensive Magic Archers, not a single one trying to punctuate the offense. Do you think we see him do something like that at the end, or does he just play defense until the very final seconds?
I mean, he's in the damage lead at this point. I think he's just going to defend. Here comes the Barbarrel down. He's got the Goblins ready in case another barrel's in cycle, also to block that Princess, and that is enough. Goblin Barrel Evo comes out, but it's not in time. Lord Seb clapping his hands, and that is going to be 1-1 of this best.
What he wants to do. And interestingly enough, you know, the two decks he's played so far, Lava Loon and this Drill Magic Archer deck, they leave him quite a lot of options, and it's Drill for Sub, and Bowler comes out in response.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see. Bowler is probably the best counter in the game to the Evo Drill. It does a great job of cleaning up each wave of the attack. And a Roll Giant. So Seb actually running the Roll Giant. Bowler here, and we have Sub. Like you said, he's comfortable with the quick cycle. But like we've said, he does not have Valkyrie as an option. And Valkyrie been a really good crutch versus these Roll Giants today, not having that option in this match.
And we saw the little tilt of the head from Seb when he saw the AQ come out. Got to imagine that he's maybe not running the counters he had hoped for here. Probably Fireball in this deck rather than the Lightning.
Yeah, no Void, no Monk options for him. And then you're right. I mean, no Lightning for the Queen. That could be annoying to go against. Fireball Log does not clean the Queen off the board.
First half of regulation gameplay ticking away. And so far, just dinks and dunks from these two. What's Seb's plan going to have to be against the Archer Queen, given what he does have to play with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to dual lane RG pressure as per usual when you go against these quick cycle control decks. If Sub plays perfect, especially with the Evo Tesla, he will probably just win. But if Seb can give himself chances by getting an RG on one side and Evo RG on the other with a spell like his Fireball of some sort onto a Tesla or maybe a Queen or something to try and break through, it's not impossible. But it's going to come down to a mistake from Sub here if he wants to win.
So going to be the Bowler does not quite get its roll off early enough. So you saw what Seb was going for there against the Archer Queen.
Yeah.
But perfect timing of the ability to avoid that problem.
Okay.
Log will get this close with 30 seconds left in regulation.
Yeah, that was a really important interaction. If he could have protected that Queen to get a second Queen ability, that could have gotten a lot of value, but Log does clean up very well. And here comes that double RG that we're talking about. I really like this RG from Seb, actually sniping one of the Teslas over the river already. But look at this poison plus delivery combo on the right. That's why you need that dual lane pressure. And it's going to work. He gets at least one shot, but you need some support in the other lane as well.
26-13, 25-92, very tight. 21 HP separating these. The Log will make that gap a little wider.
So here comes another Tesla from Sub. He's trying to get back to the Evo Tesla. That's why I tried to mention earlier the Evo Tesla is very important because it can actually kind of do a great job of stunning everything on both sides. And yeah, that will allow really good defenses. And Seb, on the other hand, it seems like he's just trying to go the same lane route, though. And we talked about it already, though. You can't do this. You can't do the same lane because that delivery plus poison and also the queen being in that lane just prevents anything and everything.
Seb starting to trail further and further in each of these exchanges. It was 21 HP, but now we're getting close to 200. That poison will certainly make it so.
Here's the bowler we're talking about, doing a great job. He does get the roll giant with that bowler. He splits the Evo skeletons. He's going to be trying to cycle back to another roll giant. The problem, though, once again, is that Evo Tesla is in cycle here. And the poison plus queen ability on the right side cleans up everything. This left side push is the push that he will try to break through with. The bowler going on the offense as well. The poison dropping down. The fireball is here, like we talked about, for the Tesla. But at this point, the roll giant's already gone. You see Seb shaking his head.
Bowler does get a connection, makes that side his stronger tower, so double downtime for Lord Seb. Log to disrupt the queen a little bit. Fireball trying to get her just a little bit more off, but cannot seem to get a Royal Giant on. Poison cycle in for Sub. Looking more and more like he has got game number 3 fully locked down. And barring something insane happening right here, that's going to be it. Seb has to give the applause. Sub continuing to make Adriel sweat as he watches from home to see if Sub can make top spot.
A lot more predictions for you guys. And talking about World Finals, I can't announce it yet, but keep watching closely on the Esports Royale Twitter.
Obviously, straight into the match, we have Muhammad Light with the mortar and a bomb tower from Sandbox immediately to counter. I actually really like the pick from Sandbox to use Cannoneer again. He's already got 2 wins under his belt with Cannoneer yet today and does really good versus Muhammad Light because Muhammad Light usually likes to use stuff like Hog Rider, Miner, stuff like that where the Cannoneer gets good value. But maybe Muhammad Light has predicted that Cannoneer here. Look at this mortar bait with the bats. That's one of the best ways to counter Cannoneer. And even the arrows can be super good versus the Princess, the Dark Orb, stuff like that.
Definitely, and the guards are really frustrating when you're playing Cannoneer as well. Just that shield, the amount of time, their speed, they always demand a pretty big response. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a really good call if you're Momo going with a good way to counter Cannoneer, since Sandbox did lean into Cannoneer more than anyone else has so far. I mean, this this is funny because I'm literally contradicting myself, but I'm like, oh, I don't know if playing this deck against Muhammad Light is going to work, but then that's the exact same mentality of like, I'm not going to play the deck that worked well because now I'm playing against Muhammad Light. But for some reason, when I see Suspicious Bush, I just don't feel great about it when you're talking about one card just not being able to provide defensive prowess against someone as good as Mo. Can it still work with Sandbox? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I even agree, too, because, like, the other thing to think about is, I mean, Muhammad Light's using Mortar here. And versus Mortar, that Suspicious Bush will not even be able to distract it. That's just one other card in your deck that won't be able to distract it. Yeah. And the Mortar also does pretty good versus Suspicious Bush as well. Going to play in the middle or even up high to attack while defending at the same time. And the other thing, I'm kind of rambling here, but another thing I want to mention is, I think that, even speaking personally for myself, that Suspicious Bush is such an odd and new card that I think that a lot of people that have been playing the game for a really long time don't really know exactly how to deal with it perfectly yet. But Muhammad Light, on the other hand, we all know that he's one of the grinders of this game. No matter how far to the top he gets, no matter how good he is, he never stops practicing. He never stops practicing, so I'm sure he has practiced a lot of games versus Suspicious Bush to be prepared for this moment.
Yeah, I mean, even that timing on the Suspicious Bush with the Miner, it's very simple. It's nothing flashy. It's not even that hard to pull off, but it just shows that he's put in his time to figure out the exact timing, placement with, you know, Miner, one of his favorite cards in the game. 1465, 2545. Suspicious Bush going to get taken out by some bats after it gets a little bit of damage over there. But this is really never the spot you want to be in against Muhammad Light, where you're down several hundred HP. He is already getting comfortable with sitting back and kind of defending, but a great job. Dude, I still think Evo Barrel is shockingly good. Is it the best Evo? No, me too.
It's so good.
Me too. It's so good. It can literally turn the entire game in a split second like what we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. The arrows here, wait, this is a good push from Molite now, though. Arrow's getting lots of value, hitting the Darkov and the Princess. The Miner's getting lots of chip, but he is able to defend. Able to lead back in Muhammad's favor just barely, though. And it's just going to come down to that yet again. How quickly can Sandbox get back to that Evo Barrel to make another massive play happen? I think that is going to be the X factor in this match to give Sandbox a chance versus this very solid Mortar deck, that Mortar Bowler deck that historically will 100% beat a bait deck like this.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, the only thing that you have here for Sandbox is that most traditionally Mortar decks will run Log as well instead of just one spell, but right now Mo doing a really, really good job. Does get the Mortar connection, does get the Goblin on tower, and that's going to do it. And as much as I was trying to pull something fancy with my predictions, Muhammad Light, a dominant game number one. You really are kind of praying for a good matchup. Like what you've been saying all day long is that you just want to give yourself a 50-50, right? That's it. And I don't think you're really putting yourself in that great of a spot when you have 0 spells. I mean, it worked out great earlier, but this is Muhammad Light we're talking about. Game number 2 coming your way, and this is one that Lord Seb, no, excuse me, Cal, now I see why Rich was saying that. That Sub is watching very, very closely because the person who loses this set will go down and face off against him. So honestly, if you're Sub, you're really hoping that Momo just closes this out in 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Phoenix and Knight and Arrows. I don't know if I really recognize either of these decks. Okay, we have a Electro Giant from Muhammad Light, a Prince and a Bomber on the defense. This is a weird matchup. I don't really know what to make of this.
Oh, and it looks like we're actually getting the change here that the loser here faces Riley, excuse me. So the other set is going to be who Sub faces off against, which is actually, I think, in my opinion, is better for Sub. I mean, Ta is still in there. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty tough either way.
Yeah, the best player is definitely in the upper bracket here.
There's been a lot of Giant Prince out there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, on the other hand, Muhammad Light already want a golden ticket here. So, you know, if you're other than, you know, anyone here, we're also kind of rooting for Muhammad Light, because if he does get first place, then second place is going to end up getting that golden ticket, which makes some things easier. But obviously, Sandbox really needs to win this match. He does have an Evo Knight, Giant, Prince deck, now that we've seen more of it. I just don't know if this matches up very well versus E-Giant. Maybe Muhammad Light even kind of sniping this deck a bit. I really like this deck because you don't really have a great way to stop the E-Giant. You do have a Prince, but you'd rather have a Mini P.E.K.K.A. or a Fisherman or a Building or really anything. On the other hand, Muhammad Light has Zappies, Tesla, and Phoenix.
Okay, well, at least he has Arrow's Void to be able to help take all that out. That's one positive thing that Sandbox has. This is just like a classic beatdown deck, Juice. That, I mean, I think you're really hoping for connections with your Bomber, but you have no way to stop this E-Giant at all.
Yeah, and wow, that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, the E-Giant's on the tower, the Evo Bomber's on the tower. There's just so much damage. And then on the other hand, this thing again. Yeah, look, it's just Zappies. There's going to be a Tesla. There's probably going to be a Golden Knight to block the Void with this Tesla. Maybe Sandbox doesn't even go for the Void at all because maybe it's just all futile at this point.
I feel like Zappies are the most frustrating card to play against in the game. Like when they're actually really effective, it means you have zero way to break through them. And like when you watch a great player use Zappies, I mean, similar to what we were saying before about, you know, the Royal Delivery is like they're just so frustrating to deal with. And you can see, I mean, Mo, I was just gonna say, Mo is just having the time of his life here because he's not, I feel like this deck is playing itself right now.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. I mean, it's just E-Giant Bridge with a little bit of support. The Void is forced on defense to stop that. And then, you know, Tesla middle, Zappies middle, And then, I mean, at that point, what do? I mean, Sandbox, the only way he maybe breaks through is, like you said, he needs an Evo Bomber, he needs an Arrows, plus Void and Zappies. That's a -2 trade. It is very tough.
And I can't read, Juicy, so maybe I should leave the reading up to you. But the loser of this match will face off against Sub. So it's looking like it's going to be a Sub Sandbox setup here in our lower bracket as Mohamed Light just cruises on through in this set. I mean, is it over yet? No, there's 39 seconds left, but like you said, let's see the Tesla, let's see the Zappies, let's see Golden Knight to block, whatever it might be. No, he doesn't. He always changes things up, right? So
Yeah.
what is the way he's defended time and time again? It's that way. He's going to sacrifice a little bit of damage. Will this work opposite lane? Desperation.
Yeah, the goal line in the defense. It's going to dash through and take out everything, and you can see Mohamed Light's face.
Yeah,
He loves that dash value. He giant connects, and that is going to be Mohamed Light. I can't wait for him to win this set and take another bite of a snack. That's what my prediction is, and I'll let you guys take this cast.
Do you watch the Oceans movies at all, AC? Have you ever seen any of those?
I haven't. I haven't seen any of them.
There's a great thing, and it's actually not just those movies, but that's where it really came to real fruition, is that Brad Pitt is always eating. He's always eating in every single scene that he is in, and it's very similar to our friend here. Every time he wins, he's taking a bite of something, taking a sip of something. We'll see here if Grieco can pull off the upset, running the deck that we saw Sandbox have a lot of fun with. Not a lot of success with, though, in the last set. And Ice Spirit plus Skelly's nice little counter there.
Yep, nice little 2 for 2. Something that is pretty difficult to do against the Suspicious Bush. Such an enjoyable card. Even the name is just really
it's
fun
hilarious.
to say out. Yeah.
It's like stupid in the best way possible, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, absolutely.
Bit of a waste there on the drill from Ta, but a great prediction from Ta, sniping off that Princess, which I think goes back to what we were talking about. He's playing so clean and so safe. I mean, that, I guess technically was maybe a bit of a small misplay because he didn't think his Tesla would pop because of the Valkyrie opposite lane, but he's got every Princess on lockdown so far, and these suspicious bushes have not caused a whole lot of problems.
I almost called it the unsuspecting bush, so like don't worry about any struggles with the pronunciation. And yes, the drill, clearly a misplay, and Ta's not going to argue that. But the other thing is, I think it's because he recognizes my opponent doesn't have any spell whatsoever. If I just defend, and then wait till triple elixir and then start throwing Evo drills plus log plus the poison, if that's what he has, he really can just wait out the next 4.5 minutes and then win at the very end of this game.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a really good point that you make. So that's why you can see so much attention being spent to catching these princesses, which is, I think, is a really nice adjustment here from Grieco to go and play his princess in the back. Now we're going to have to see either a log or a poison come out or deal with her as she gets up at the bridge. So good to change things up just a bit.
And really, those goblins are pretty healthy. Every single time any interaction happens with them, I expect them to get deleted from the game just immediately. And they always survive, whether it be the Bomber, the Ice Spirit plus Skelly's was a great defense against it. But it also almost survived against it. It just seems like a very healthy card in this meta.
What are they called? Do we know what kind of goblins they are? I think they have a different name. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
So here we go, double barrel. Defended very nicely here from Ta. 2310, the lowest tower for him. 1889, the lowest tower on the board for Grieco. And that is definitely not what you want, AC, when you're talking about what you were saying just a little bit ago. No spell power, obviously, in Grieco's hands. And Ta just going to be able to do exactly what we're seeing. Overspend on defense, and then just poison every now and then. Could have maybe even gotten the ability off there from the Mighty Miner, but I also like that Ta's not trying to make things happen. He's just letting them happen.
Yeah, I really like how he's played this so far. This could spell a little bit of trouble. I would have liked to see the Goblin Barrel just placed on top of the tower,
Yeah,
no
same.
login cycle. Although, really, I'm saying that, and I'm kind of thinking back, it probably was placed at the exact same time. I don't think I'm the better player of any of these guys playing. So I would assume it's not as simple as I'm making it sound.
And a double suspicious bush push that really didn't do anything. I know, there's a lot of fun with that card name. See, but this is kind of what I'm talking about, is there's literally just 3 suspicious bushes on the board and they did absolutely nothing. Now, yes, it's just 2 elixir 3 times, but at the end of the day, that's still 6 elixir spent that really did nothing. So, I don't know. While it was super fun to see Sandbox start his day with it, I don't actually think it's very viable right now. This deck. And it looks like Juicy agrees. He just said this bait deck has got to go. Yeah, I mean, you need...
So far from today, I think that I'm kind of learning that the Evo Valk probably is quite a bit stronger. I think the Evo Goblin Barrel, which is super exciting to see, that's definitely a card. It's level 14, and I'm getting ready to max it. Like, it is a very solid card overall.
Evo Valk?
No, the Evo Goblin Barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been very impressed by the Evo Goblin Barrel. And then I think it might be 3rd, so I think I'd probably place it about 3rd or 4th strongest in terms of the Evos.
I'm telling you, dude, Ta is truly in his villain era. He keeps doing these like looks where he's like, "Oh, nice try," and then he like takes a drink of his soda or whatever, and then he like kind of smiles. I'm here for it. I cannot wait to see him at World Finals because he's got a great swagger and confidence about him right now, and his gameplay is so clean. And also, he's doing that thing that Mo does, where it's like the gameplay is so clean that you're like I said, like eating or drinking in the middle of your. Because we see Mo do that all the time, where he picks up the mug and takes a big sip after he dominates someone. There it is. I mean, he just took a hit, but 1991 to 25-23 is Ta just continues to flex here, although not doing a great job early in this game.
Yeah, and that happens with Muhammad Light as well sometimes, where it's like, yo, there's still a push on the board. Like, this isn't time
It's not over.
to relax. Yeah, I don't know why you're having so much fun just yet.
So Evo Archer's in the back and get cleaned up by the arrows. Giant does not get to tower, but the skeletons will. Shockingly, those Larrys around the tower, there's only 3 or 4 of them getting a decent amount of damage, but now a pretty formidable sized counter push coming in here for Ta.
Yeah, and that was a really lucky scenario for Ta to get the snowball on top of the Goblin Gang as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to get a little bit of a huge counter push, as crazy as it seems, but that 500 HP worth of damage is massive for these giant graveyard decks, because now that it's down to 1300, we could be seeing him just go all in, because you don't have to worry about a counter push if you can get 1000 HP worth of damage and just take the tower.
This mortar is gonna lock unless they're, wow, I saw it. I saw the perfect little window. Giant a second late, Dark Prince a second late, and the Knight just stepped up a little too high. So 680 now to a couple archers on the board. Missed. Giant on the tower though with the snowball. That's gonna take it. That's gonna take it, AC. Arrows.
Down to 53 HP. He just needs to place anything on the board. It's going to be game over. Evo Archers are going to clean up everything real easily, real nicely. And Ta, 2-0. It's just insane that so many different players need exact scenarios to happen. It's riveting. It's super exciting. I love these. The final monthly finals of the year is always just brilliant cinema every single time.
Well, starting off the story, it's Sandbox with Zap Bandit. Fisherman in response for sub.
And Pekka's had quite a bit of success so far today. So I really like what I'm seeing from Sandbox, but that activation from the Monk, that is also quite brilliant, getting 300 HP worth of chip damage because of that activation.
Yeah, perfect timing there to get the Wizard Reflect. And I know it's been talked about a fair bit here on the show, but what a turnaround for Wizard. Was a bottom of the barrel. You really don't use it past your first 4 or 5 months of playing Clash Royale card. Certainly, I think you could count the number of CRL appearances of Wizard on one hand before you got to the Evo Wizard, and the turnaround where this card is now central to the competitive meta is just wild.
Yeah, it was so bad that even players who would go out of their way to run like 2 or 3 different cards that were just off meta completely, Wizard was still scoffed at by them. It was such a terrible, terrible card.
Here we go into the double elixir portion approaching. And so far, no one's really broken it open. Slight lead for Sub.
And a really cool interaction right there. The Wizard taking out the Ghost before the Ghost can even get a hit because the opposing Wizard took out the shield. Just a fun interaction right there.
So, Josh, what in the world does Sub do to get his, and a really nice Evo Zap there to continue the damage for the Ram Rider? No King Tower activation either, as the Ram Rider went down pretty significantly in damage from that. P.E.K.K.A. neither. Nobody is willing to touch this King Tower. And Sub, it's not just, I was talking about Sub's difficulty on offense trying to break through against a P.E.K.K.A. and Ram Rider here, but the defensive woes beginning as well.
Yeah, it really just depends if he can defend this. If the Fisherman gets the next fish slap and the RG can get another shot, that is just very detrimental to that. And right there, Sub, a brilliant attempt, but it just doesn't work out for him. Sandbox being very patient, going to be able to stop that beautifully. And no zap coming out in time for Sandbox this time. So King Tower activation for Sub. I love that Sub was trying to pull off that interaction though. He was trying to have the P.E.K.K.A. walk back so the Ram Rider goes in front. That's a brilliant pro play. It just didn't work out for him.
Evo Zap not available that time, and now we're starting to see the situation for Royal Giant as the Ram Rider can slow it down, but without the P.E.K.K.A. available at the moment, and this Fisherman's going to be huge, not going to get blocked. Good Evo Zap. But the Barb Barrel looks like it's tanking for the RG against the Princess Tower, and there
he now has 2 opportunities to walk away with $23,000 in cash, minimum. This is so massive for Sub. The pay jump from today is obviously going to be incredible. It's going to be, you know, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, but then X amount of money from the World Finals. There is so much on the line, and he has 2 chances.
And Sub might be going drill here. He ran a drill deck that looked a lot like this earlier on, although it had Fire Spirit rather than the Ice Spirit. And Sandbox maybe taking a page from Sub's deck, running that same Miner deck earlier. Evo Archers in here, though. Haven't seen a lot of them.
Right there, Bowler gets the right timing, going to be able to take out the drill pretty easily. So Sandbox going to be running this really good mortar deck. I really like this deck choice from Sandbox. The only time I struggled was against that Hog Giant Skeleton deck, but you just got to hope your opponent isn't going to run at that time. Overall, I think it's a very, very strong deck, and I like this for game number 2 for him.
Taking care of the Bowler push on the left-hand side. Also note Cannoneer for Sandbox another time on the day.
Yeah, this is actually his 3rd time running Cannoneer. I've made a mental note every single time he's ran it because he's the only competitor that's been willing to run it. And so far, he's had varied success. He's 1-1 on the day so far.
Slow technical start to this game. And just as I say that, a pressure pair of Skelly Drag to the right-hand lane.
That's one of the funniest caster, not curses, because you know it's just skeleton dragons, but that is hilarious because you were absolutely correct, and he just had to prove you wrong.
Miner into the back. Skeletons do get the pickup. Arrows to support, and that is a lot to spend to clear the skeletons, but not only do you get the damage, but then you also fill up that Skelly King ability just a little bit more, but doesn't matter as the Archer Queen throws her cloak on.
And really nice skillies from Sub. It forced out 3 elixir in response with the guards. I really like that he took that opportunity to put the skellies in front.
And Drill just not able to get a lot, but the chip damage there, 2156 to 2455. Mortar down, Skelly King, Bowler both working in the middle. Evo Tesla will control the Evo Mortar here, at least for a moment. Miner down to the back. Ice Spirit goes to the wrong side. Skellies come out, arrows clear, and that's going to be some good chip damage as Sandbox forces out the Tesla to cover that last bit of damage.
And so the HP difference between the Cannoneer and the Princess Tower is all but caught up. Sandbox with the matchup advantage overall. The Bowler always going to be incredible in response for those drills. He's it looks super close, but so far through this 3.5 minute period, Sandbox has played relatively, I mean, pretty much a perfect game so far.
Final minute 15. Big breath from Sub. A win here is a trip to World Finals. Sandbox could force a game 3.
Using the Ice Spirit offensively instead of defensively is going to allow the Miner to get a couple shots. And right here, this Evo Drill putting in work, getting the tower down to sub 1500 HP.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, the Bowler stops shooting, and that's going to get the tower down to A79. A massive, I don't even know if it's a misplay. That's just unfortunate for Sandbox.
And now Sandbox has a lot on the board, but a lot to do as well. Delivery shutting things down. Sandbox might be going in hard on the left-hand lane. Tesla down, Ice Spirit in. Defensive poison up high. Sandbox has to pretty much ignore this. Archer Queen doesn't matter. Cannoneer will take care of it. Goes into the right-hand lane. The dual lane pressure here from Sandbox, but is that going to be much of anything? And this is going to be a win for Sub, and we have our 6th Clash Royale League World Finalist of 2024. Sub makes the top 4 and gets it done. Others, if you will, in the Japanese pro scene would love to make his own stamp on it with being one of only 8 world finalists in 2024, but the guy in front of him, Riley, maybe one of the, if not the most popular content creator who's in the competitive scene in the West. This would be a big one for him to get it done right here, right now.
So it looks like Grieco is going to go to this popular mortar deck, while Riley on the other side of it is going to a version of a Suspicious Bush deck with Bats, Evo Bats, which I still am a big fan of Evo Bats. Obviously not in the conversation for the best evolution in the game, but I still think they're really good and very fun when they go off.
This is fun, and I really wonder if part of the game plan here for Riley is you have had this slow but still tankable by a Miner card in the Suspicious Bush, and then you have the fast one for the Bats. I wonder if we're going to see some double layering here with Miner Bats, but then Suspicious Bush behind that, or pressuring both lanes. Very curious to see how he works all these together.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other cool thing about this deck, this very odd deck from Riley, is that you have the 2 invisible threat cards in the Royal Ghost and the Suspicious Bush that you can kind of just cycle opposite lane for relentless pressure. I mean, we've talked about the Royal Ghost for years and how annoying it can be opposite lane. Now you add in the Suspicious Bush, and it's kind of fascinating what you can do dual lane-wise here. So we'll see what this beatdown push is going to look like here from Riley. Grieco, not a lot of elixir left in the tank, does have to play that Miner right up next to the Prince.
And the difference between this and older variations of this MK Prince Miner deck, right, because we've seen this overall idea for a long time, is you typically have a little bit more speed pressure in the opposite lane from that big tanky push. Suspicious Bush doesn't give you that same kind of pressure. So I'm very curious to see how all these work together. But look, this is some of the most fun I've had seeing the actual, to take your word, decksmanship in quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, love that word. I do love where we're at in our meta. You know, I like that we're seeing different tower troops. They're all viable. They've all had varied success. Obviously, Dagger Duchess is the weakest, but she was the most dominant for so long. I agree with what AC said, where it's like, it's refreshing to see her back again and not just in every single game. And I think we've seen almost, I mean, I don't know about every evolution, but we've seen most of the evolutions today, which has also been really, really cool.
You saw that Ghost went real hard on the right-hand side, down to 1291. That's a pretty significant lead here that a Mortar Miner deck will have to try to make up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially because Riley's doing such a good job of, well, as it happens, I was saying, he's just not allowing these mortars to connect. It feels like Grieco just doesn't have a great way to get on offense other than the miners, and after that big chunk of damage early on, yeah, you have to do a lot more than just miner chip.
And Miner will turn the cannon away. Evo Wizard not going to be able to do much other than shut that down in the backfield, but maybe more than happy is Riley right now to just continue to get Grieco to spend Elixir near and behind his tower rather than turn into something offensive.
Yeah, I mean, Riley just needs to play cool, calm, collected, and get miners in. That's really it. He doesn't need to do anything else. And you can see right now taking a little bit of damage on the left-hand side, but paying attention to the task at hand, which is really distracting that mortar. Now the miner's going to distract the mortar so the Prince can connect, and this has just all been really clean from Riley top to bottom.
And cannon breaks down on Grieco's side. 65 seconds left. Grieco trying to find some way to create some significant damage. But one also nice piece about this deck is, you know, even when you see Riley drop a lot of Elixir on one lane, he has those fairly inexpensive bats to do some of the cleanup on the opposite lane.
Yeah, he's got a lot of really great defensive cards in terms of the Prince, the MK, and the Bats that have just been in so much work. And again, with that lead that he got early on, he's just able to only go for damage when he has absolutely every green light in the book.
Mega Knight comes to clean up some of those skeletons. Pressure cannon cart on the left-hand lane. Miner comes out to hold. Arrows in the right. This is a lot. This is not easy.
On tower. Cannon cart's on tower.
Nope.
And defending for that Goblin. Goblin's still on tower. Wow. And that is a huge damage lead. Now he just needs to defend out. Miner can stay on the tower. He's going to...
Arrows.
453.
And the arrows don't come fast enough.
Oh my word. To take one of yours, if you're going to take Dexmanship, what a... Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those things where you feel like this is a big conversation about experience at the highest level, right? Riley is a content creator first and foremost. And I think when you see things like that happen, I mean, look, it happens to all of us. We all sell games at the end. But there was so much control for so much of that game that was just a big misstep. I mean, literally, he could have just MK'd on top of that if he didn't spend so much a minute ago on the MK right lane.
I'm fascinated by how quickly we're back into this game, right? With what's at stake. I would have thought we'd been taking a long time to deck pick here.
So
here with some reflection off the monk, yeah.
And that E-Spirit, wow, that's going to put in a lot of work in this matchup.
Log to clear, but pretty good damage, pretty significant. Wow, those skeletons just hanging. That felt like it was Dagger Duchess level damage, not a Princess level damage.
Yeah, I think maybe the log came out just a step early from Riley, just allowing 3 or 4 Larrys to stay alive and still get tanked for. And yeah, I mean, it's wild that Grieco could win a golden ticket right now, dude. It's like, even just saying that out loud is wild to me. It's a name I haven't said in all of 2024.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. He has to win. He has to beat Riley, and then the question is, what does Sub come with? Does Sub come with fire to really lock things down, or does Sub get that? Does he finally realize that he won a golden ticket, and that adrenaline dump means he plays a little bit loose? So we'll see what happens there. But right here,
I know this is crazy to say, but I, as a competitor, would rather have Grieco there than Adriel.
I feel you. I feel you on that.
You know what I mean? And all Sub needs to do is throw then. I don't think anyone would ever do that, but I would rather play Grieco than Adriel.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might share that opinion.
So
Here we go,
we'll see.
593 left-hand lane. Wow, but Riley's making his case, though.
Yep.
Riley is certainly making his case.
And Evo Archer is just a little high. That Monk going to get a lot of value right now. The second Archer does sneak away. And nice E-Spirit.
A lot of control needed here.
There's a lot of
That
health
Dark
on
Prince,
that
oh
giant.
boy. Yeah. Well, and that Dark Prince just engaging the
Oh my
Fisherman.
gosh,
Look at
Rich.
that graveyard all over it.
Riley is
Oh,
done.
wow. 8 seconds. Riley needs to throw everything, but he cannot get enough. He fireballs the King Tower, and Grieco needs one more match win to secure World Final.
Grieco here, 36% of the people out there think that Grieco is going to win this. So the community is with us here, Juicy. Sub bottom of your screen, Grieco at the top. This game, this match, is for a golden ticket, and numerous ones at that.
Wizard
That's
in
so
the
crazy.
back. Eva Wizard, yeah, isn't it? Yeah, is this the first time we've had a legit lower bracket golden ticket? It may be
Well, it's
not the
crazy because
first,
it's
but-
like 3 golden tickets, or
Yeah.
2 golden tickets all at once. You know what I mean? So I
with
feel like
all
this
the
is definitely a
leaderboards.
first ever.
Yeah, Monk here gonna deflect the Firecracker. So we have probably Monk Roll Giant. Maybe it could be Monk Drill deck too, but there is the RG versus a Hog EQ. I think that's this matchup can go either way, but the guards do provide a lot of value, especially since Sub has Barbarian Barrel compared to a Log, which would be a lot better. I think that will give Grieco a bit of an advantage here.
RG not getting a shot there. Looked like it would, but clean defense there from Grieco. And yeah, Juice, this is an interesting matchup. So in your mind, I feel like they both have, you know, the guards are going to do well in both lanes.
True.
I do feel like that Monk though could cause a big problem here, because if you have the Monk taking care of the RG,
Yeah.
and the guards are up high for the Mighty Miner, I don't know. Is there something I'm missing here, or is this a good matchup for Sub?
I do think it's like fairly close because they kind of counter each other in a way. You know, Fisherman for Hog Rider, guards and Tesla for Roll Giant. The reason I might give it a little bit more towards Grieco is simply just because you have a little bit more outplayability
Yeah.
with the Hog Rider, but also the Firecracker is a secondary win condition. I think also a lot does depend on this last card from Sub though. You know, if there's like a lightning or something for lots of damage on towers, that can make a big difference. Or maybe, you know, if there's Void, maybe that doesn't get as much value. Looks like it's gonna be a middle of the pack here with the Fireball. You know, it has possible value onto the towers, but it's gonna make it so that the Firecracker and the Tesla might be able to get some value here.
And that E-Spirit coming in doing just enough, and while Grieco spends a lot defensively, it does seem to be very effective. 2604, 2616, pretty much neck and neck. Curious when we might start seeing Grieco go opposite lane, and there we go after a nice connection.
That one wizard hit, like every little bit of damage really just matters in a matchup like this. And I say that, and the Hog Rider just gets 2 hits, evening things up. That Hog Rider hit is massive, but this is that push that you were talking about. The Monk plus Roll Giant, and the Tesla doesn't pull. The Monk pushes the Roll Giant towards the left, but the Evo Tesla is in cycle for a bailout. Fascinating interaction there.
Yeah, and also fascinating interactions there at the bridge. 25-38 is what remains on that tower after what looked like was going to be a lot more coming through, and that's got to be a bit of a blow to the morale for Sub, having all of those pieces all come together and just really getting very little out of it.
And there goes that Hog Shot I'm talking about. That Hog Rider is a little bit more consistent to RG here. And then the Firecracker, maybe a little bit late placed. I think if you played it earlier, could have got more damage, but overall solid. And then on the offense, on the other hand of things, there's that Tesla, there's those guards, but the Wizard wiped the guards immediately. This push is massive. 2 Roll Giant.
Monk on the tower.
That Wizard. Oh, Monk. The Monk can
That's
deflect the
game.
Firecracker
There's
as
no
well.
way.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
The double roll.
Everything kind of coming together perfectly for Sub, which is, you know, like when you look at this deck, there is the outplayability on the other side with the Hog deck, but Sub not letting him get even a lick of damage throughout, right? There was those 2 Hog hits, and then otherwise it felt like Sub was just on the offensive for the whole rest of that game.
Yeah, I agree. And we're hopping to the next game here. We have Sub coming out with the P.E.K.K.A again here, but he just used Wizard, which is interesting. So I will... Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what he could have instead of an Evo Wizard in this P.E.K.K.A deck. Maybe a Magic Archer, maybe an Electro Wizard, maybe a Phoenix. I've seen some Phoenix. Yeah, I would not be surprised to see a Phoenix Battle Ram Evo P.E.K.K.A deck here.
And Juicy, you got some people in the chat here that got your back. Says, no need to apologize. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, guys. Let's see if I can call this matchup here. We have Evo Mortar spam deck that we've seen. It's very popular versus this Sub deck with the Evo Bataram. Usually, I would say that the Mortar would have the matchup here. And if there was Evo Wizard, then I would actually say the Evo Wizard will have the matchup. But we know the Sub doesn't have the Wizard. So I think I am going to go Mortar here, especially with that Cannon Cart. The Cannon Cart got a slight buff to its attack speed fairly recently. It's going to be really good at DPSing these P.E.K.K.As down with the help of the Skelly Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, this is a matchup that kind of like, this is almost exactly what I was just referring to as the P.E.K.K.A Wizard matchup. And honestly, I think it is a bit more difficult when you have the Wizard, obviously, but I think this is going to be in Grieco's favor. I mean, there should be the ability for him to create a lot of problems with the Skeleton Dragons, and then he should also be able to get a good Evo Bomber connection.
Yeah, and not to mention the Evo Mortar connections that are happening already here.
And the Goblin Gang at the bridge, no splash.
Yeah, it's just no Wizard, right? Like, if you have Wizard versus that Mortar there, we've seen it today. We've seen it, the Evo Wizard destroy this deck. But without it, I love the deck pick from Grieco. You know, the Evo Wizard is not in cycle. You go for this deck. On the other hand, Sub, trying to make this comeback happen. It's not impossible to get this tower trade, but it's not that easy either because Void doesn't do that much tower damage. He needs a connection of 1 more troop.
And I was just going to say, this is exactly what he needs to do. He needs to set up a Cannon Cart in the back. He needs to set up a Mortar defensively so that he can get back to a second Mortar. He's going to have to deal with the Evo Battle Ram is tough with this deck because there's no way to stop, stun, reset anything, right? It's just the Cannon Cart and then the Mortar is what you're really hoping on. And well played by Grieco. I mean, that's about as good as that defense can get.
Yeah, I mean, you call it. The Mortars are right in the middle, 1 tile up 2. I really like that attention to detail. Just make sure there's no chance that Battle Ram is able to bypass in any circumstance. And the Void Spell, like I said, not enough damage.
Game 1, it's one of those things, like, it won him game 1, right? We thought that was a tough matchup. Those guards got taken off the board, but it also lost him game number 2, not having that Wizard. So that is one of the tough things when you're using the most powerful card in the game.
All right, we are in the game 3. The best of 1 for everything. Sub with a Psycho deck, going back to what he's most comfortable with. And Grieco with what looks to be a Magic Archer Drill Wall Breakers deck as well. So it might just be Minor Poison versus Drill Tornado. A very classic matchup here.
Yeah, and it feels like usually you give the nod to Minor Poison in that situation, right?
Yeah, I would say so, just because the poison is so consistent. You know, it's just Drill Poison versus Drill Magic Archer. The poison's guaranteed to get on the tower, whereas with Grieco, you know, he still can win. It's very possible, but he needs a Magic Archer connection. And if Sub does well with his Teslas to block those Magic Archers, you know, the Tesla's a building and can't get tornadoed. So the Magic Archer won't be able to connect at that point.
Nice King Tower activation there by Grieco. Nerves are high, but the interactions are still on point. 27-29 to 28-93. Best of 1 for a golden ticket here. Sub already guaranteed one way or the other. Grieco, our Cinderella story from the old, I mean, the old guard, really. I mean, we haven't really talked about him since 2022, it feels like. And this is a very fascinating lower bracket semis.
Another thing about these drill matches that have also changed because of the drill Evo is just a lot of the time it's who can get more Evo drills placed. And wow, and Sub with the Goblin Demolisher connection too, though. That is another secondary win condition for Sub, giving him even more of an advantage here. It's gonna be tough.
I was just gonna say, a lot of people talk about that Demolisher like it's almost like a champion. Obviously, it doesn't give you that 3-card cycle, but the movement speed, the fact that it's also a wall breaker, the amount of damage and its attack speed, its radius, its splash damage, like all of it. It's an exceptionally strong card. But right now, it really only finds itself in Drill, which was actually played a decent amount less than I thought it was going to be played today.
Here comes the first Evo Drill. The Goblins, the Demolisher, the Tornado pulls that back, so some Goblins will connect. The Bomb Tower up high doing a great job as well, but I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be tough for, I don't know. It's going to be tough to break through here. Oh, but the Tornadoes. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe these Tornadoes paired with these Drills are his way to connect, but even then, look at the damage like differential here.
Yeah, and I really do feel like, in general, the deck from Sub is just better than the deck from Greco.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
Sub has a 61% win rate with Drill, so maybe not as high as he would have liked, but Greco's almost 20% lower than that at 43. So both of them going pretty unpredictable in this game.
Drill inbound. Barbrill does clean up pretty well. Ice Spirit connecting the right hand side, forcing out Skeletons to stop these Goblins to connect, and there's that poison. That's a poison.
I was just going to say, it's so crazy with the poison nerf, Juicy. You keep talking about it today and how poison is just kind of like the end-all, be-all. And in these high-level matches where most of them go the full 5 minutes, that poison in Triple Elixir is insanely strong.
It also just has so much synergy with the Evo Drill. Wait, Magic Archer Tornado connection.
What a connection!
Wait, this is,
oh my god!
This is insane. This is so much damage. That is what Greco needed to put himself as a chance in this match.
Oh
and
my god!
Elixir, the Evo Drill plus Poison might be able to get that damage back, but that is massive.
Bro, this is crazy. Greco is putting together the greatest monthly final run we've seen from someone that just, I mean, again, we have not talked about him almost at all in the last 2 years, and here he is. He's just 50 seconds away from a win. Defending is going to be a lot more difficult than he'd probably like, but with the Valkyrie, with the Bomb Tower, pretty clean. 13-16, 10-14. Narrowing that gap is Sub down to 12-24. Tick on that poison down below 1200.
Here comes that Evo Drill and Psycho though, and it does so much damage. It's very close, 30 seconds left on the clock. Poison is gonna drop. You can't stop that aim for the tower, but now it's Greco's turn for the Evo Drill. He's trying to take that Tesla out so that maybe—
I like getting rid of the Tesla, the NATO.
The Tornado does allow—
Where's the Magic Archer? Oh, there's the Magic Archer. Good catch by Sub. Drill going in on the left-hand side. Needs to defend this Drill. 871. I think he's gonna do it.
Gosh.
I think he's gonna do it. Log is in. NATO's in. Oh my god. Greco and Sub are going to World Finals. This is crazy.
Even just talking about the games, it's like all these crazy things happened, and then I still have to lock in and recognize, hey, it's Muhammad Light and Talk going, battling each other, trying to stay in the winner's bracket. And yeah, let's do this. Juicy. Ta versus Muhammad Light, game number 1.
Yes, sir. Ta versus Muhammad Light. We have a bowler and a berry. We see Ta immediately kind of cringe at the Firecracker. That is because Firecracker is one of the best, if not the best, counter to bowler in the game. I guess there's Firecracker and Fisherman. Those are the 2 main ones. And we actually see him lining the Firecracker because he knows how big of a deal it is, which will put him down a bit of damage. But looks like he has the counters. He has what he needs here. He's got a cage. He's gonna have a tornado for this Hog Rider, and he's gonna be looking very pretty off this King activation.
Yeah, really simple defense right there for Ta. Never really looked worried because, you know, he has every answer you could possibly imagine. The Goblin Cage plus the NATO are going to be really, really strong. But right there, Muhammad Light already out-cycling both responses. And is that 2 shots? I think that was 2 shots, right?
Ta had the same reaction as I did. Oh, bro, like, I cannot believe this Hog Rider just got 2 hits from a bowler with King activated. That's odd. I guess the bowler was just slightly placed a little bit late because he wanted to make sure the Firecracker is going to lock on to the Barbarian Barrel first. But, I mean, that's going to make a huge difference here. I'm kind of wondering what Ta's last card here. It looks like it probably is Electro Giant, actually. And at this point, going against Hog EQ, With down this much damage, I don't know if E-Giant can actually come back. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Tesla, the Evo Tesla as well.
And the Goblin.
This is, yeah. Oh, and right there, the Firecracker is actually able to jump away from the Brawler, so not going to be a problem from the cage. And yeah, this spells trouble for Ty. It's going to be real tough, especially when Muhammad Light's playing like this, forcing the Brawler all the way back, not going to help out the E-Giant on the offensive push. I like that he's going opposite lane.
Interesting.
Do you not like that?
Well, no, I mean, so, okay, there's a lot going through my head. I'm going to just try and explain it. E-Giant, you always want to go same lane, but Muhammad Light's a monk. So it makes sense why you would boulder on the right side to bait the monk out. Because you don't want to play the boulder same lane as the monk. So he kind of baits that monk out. And now, because he's a champion, he's not able to cycle back to the monk. So maybe that's what he needs to do in order to break through this E-Giant. The thing is, you're not breaking through this E-Giant. I'm not going to lie. There is the Tesla with a quick cycle. But most importantly, Goblins plus Ice Spear is actually one of the best counters to E-Giant because the Ice Spear will freeze everything up, which kind of just allows the Goblins to go put in the work. This is really a kind of a lightning cycle matchup, which Ta is doing. He's getting those lightnings down over and over again. And if he can continue to do that, there's a chance he wins this.
Yeah, but at this point, Muhammad Light's recognizing he's got the Earthquake, Log, offensive Firecracker, and then that's his offense at this point. There's no other offense. He's not going to get Hogs through anymore. Yeah. It's those three cards. Can he cycle it on the tower enough? And I really think he can. I don't think it's really going to be that difficult, but Ta's been playing well, so there's definitely a chance something crazy can happen.
Yeah, Ta's been playing very well. I really like that boulder there, that actually predicting the Firecracker. Like you said, the Firecracker is kind of one of the main win conditions now. So he predicts that and prevents it, and now another lightning is going to drop on the Firecracker yet again. Muhammad Light goes for the Hog because he's starting to get a little bit desperate for damage here. Ta is playing this to a T. I've not seen really a single mistake other than, I mean, I guess those early Hog shots, but overall, this is some great gameplay. On the other hand, though, that Firecracker, once again, in so much damage, eh?
Yeah, and right there, that could be a little bit of a problem. Looks like Muhammad Light's going to be able to take it out pretty easily. Okay, obviously a very early Tesla, but the thing with Muhammad Light is even his mistakes can sometimes be okay, and he's gonna actually take the lead right here. I still think Muhammad Light has the advantage, but not anymore. That's gonna be game.
Oh my gosh, it's over. This might be the best Electro Giant gameplay I have seen in a minute. I am so impressed. The lightning cycle, the solid defense, and then the Tornado Evo Bomber at the end there gets in lightning range. That is towered down, and Todd's not even phased.
But the Hogs over the middle, where they jump and then the troops retarget. I feel like it should be ingrained in these players' minds. I have a Hog, it's going to jump. I need to place it directly where it can cross without jumping. That should be what these players are doing, but I keep seeing players make the mistake of having it jump and having the opponent's cards lock onto the tower instead.
No way. Are we going to see a reverse matchup here? Muhammad Light did play E-Giant Golden Knight once today. I think it is. We have a Hog EQ versus Electro Giant yet again. The Golden Knight here, though, is interesting. That is a little bit different, which... Oh, and the Bowler, though. The Bowler is still here. So, I don't know. This is going to be really wild because I think that Muhammad Light might also win this if he plays perfectly because Ta is not going to get that early damage advantage that we saw in the previous match. I don't think. I mean, maybe out cycles right now.
Yeah, so what do you remember what the Evo was for Ta in the previous game?
Yeah, it was that Evo Bomber.
Yeah, sorry, not the Evo, the champion from him.
He didn't have a champion. He just had a bowler, basically.
Wow, great Firecracker from Ta. Yeah, because I'm wondering... I'm thinking that the Mighty Miner, even though it's obviously not the greatest response... Oh, and it's not even E-Giant. Okay, it's Drill. Okay.
Wow, okay, so he's using Goblin Drill. He's using an E-Giant deck with a Goblin Drill instead of E-Giant. I swear this is an E-Giant deck. He's got Golden Knight, he's got the Bowler. This is very interesting. I think this changes things like pretty solidly, honestly, because before the E-Giant was really never making the tower. Now the drill, it always will make it the tower at least a little bit. But we do see the early damage lead here from Ta. It's gonna be double elixir time. Mohamed Light has more advantage in double elixir. He needs to lock down this defense. And the other thing though is now the last card's not lightning, I just realized. So maybe the spell cycle is maybe not really as viable anymore. This is very interesting. Very, very dynamic.
Yeah. Wow, right there, the Firecracker gets 2 shots where the remnants of the shot get on top of the tower. He also is able to get a hog shot on top of the tower. And this is just Ta. I mean, are we really gonna see? I mean, not a complete flipping of the matchup, because obviously it's gonna be Drill instead of the E-Giant, but they're somewhat similar in deck styles. And I don't know what it is about Ta's Firecrackers, but these are the greatest Firecrackers I've seen. They always take out every single goblin from the Drill.
We've seen him do this once already today. We see Mohamed Light. He's exclaiming already, Tom might have already won this. The Firecrackers are getting so much value. The Earthquake cycle is here. The Drill has done almost no damage. This might be the first time I've seen Mohamed Light get outplayed this year. This is actually clinical. Andrew as well agreeing in the chat. He's saying this is really clean. I mean, this is very unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2 games where he outplays. It's not one game where he outplays, one game he gets matchup, and then the second game he loses. This is game 1, he outplays and wins. Game 2, he outplays and wins. All right, well, technically it's not done just yet, but it's this is not commonplace for someone like that.
And he predicts a tornado. He knows it's happening.
Yeah.
He goes to the Tesla Pi, blocked, and now here comes the Hog Rider. And the Hog Rider connects. Mohamed Light just gives up, and there's the sip of the juice.
ClashRoyale.com to find out more about our remaining community events. Here we go. Greco, Mohamed Light. Drill, the opening for Greco.
I feel like Greco, even though he isn't considered one of these top players, and if he can pull off a monthly finals win, he just shoots himself way up to the top and is considered a top 15, top 10 player just based off one monthly finals result, which is crazy to hear about. I think Andrew was talking about it. We just haven't mentioned his name whatsoever, and then he's able to pull off this run. But I think Greco belongs to the category of players like Basoto, like Lucas, like Ta, where he's not going to get nervous going against Mohamed Light. He might falter because of other aspects of his gameplay, but it's not going to be because he's nervous against Mo. And I think that he belongs to the category of like 10 players where you can comfortably say that kind of statement.
Royal Giant will connect on the right-hand side for some significant early damage by Mohamed Light. 1996 for the right-hand tower remaining for Greco. And this Mighty Miner won't present much of any problem. Just going to clean that up with the Barb Barrel as we pass the midway point of regulation time. Here we go. Demolisher drill push, left-hand lane.
Demolisher going to be able to take out the Wizard, and wow, did that get on tower as well, or just on top of the Wizard?
Either way, 2573. Tower does get touched.
Yeah, massive interaction right there. Kind of unfortunate for Mo Light. I really expected him to clean that up perfectly, but instead, gonna give quite a bit of damage, and Mo Light still in the lead by a healthy margin, but not feeling nearly as good.
And you can see maybe a little bit of movement if you look at Mohamed Light's camera. Wondering if this is one of those moments where he's feeling it a little bit. Reflection will put some good damage back and tank for the Royal Giant. Now Greco finds himself in a bit of trouble, has to go with the Evo Tesla. Second Royal Giant right behind that. Barb Barrel, maybe trying to get ahead of an Ice Spear or some Skeletons.
Yeah, and right here, if he can get anything on top of these skellies, he's in a good spot, but instead, RG gets retargeted to the Tesla, still giving himself an opportunity, but you you see him wince, you see him move off to the side. This is a tough ask for him because Muhammad Light can just defend super, super easily, it feels like.
Guards low, Log trying to make some room for the Demolisher maybe. Fisherman pulls instead. Second Royal Giant down behind the first. Barb Barrel, this time all over the Mighty Miner, and Grieco has to know this is just about it. Ice Spirit comes out. Skelly's not enough to turn and get the retarget. Evo Tesla will do it. But with that fireball to the Evo Tesla rather than to the tower, that's enough to end the game. Mohamed Light up one on Grieco. Think about Grieco's deck pool and Grieco's play style. Josh, what sort of things typically come to mind for you?
I mean, I always chalked him up as a quick cycle kind of player. He, alongside Mugi, it was just like these super young players know what to do in every single interaction. So it's not super shocking that he's running the quickest cycle deck in the game out there right now with the 2.3, 2.1. It's got to be at least 2.5 Elixir deck that he's using right now.
Either way, it's still amusing. And that's the best way I can put it, is the Suspicious Bush is just amusing.
Good defense right there. Snowball in the Valk away from the tower. And Molite, lacking in Elixir, forced to Valkyrie the Princess Bridge. And Grieco has an opportunity to potentially go in with this counter push.
Let's see how he chooses to set up. He might just opt to take his time and bush in the back one more time. And just preventing extra damage. And that's what this deck does in its most annoying circumstances, Josh, is it forces you to make awkward plays to save weird bits of damage.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's all this deck really is. It's forcing out Elixir constantly, trying to. I mean, it's really trying to get those 2-for-1 situations, those 3-for-2 situations, where you still have a baby counter push, where you have 2.5 goblins that one of them is going to get a stab, so it forces out some sort of response. It's always just one leftover troop that forces out something.
Princess Bridge left-hand lane, Evo Barrel out, plus the snowball for Grieco. Good damage to open this up a little bit with 34 seconds left. Grieco now putting a pretty solid lead on both sides.
But again, with this deck, even if you are way ahead early on, it sometimes doesn't matter because you don't have any opportunity to get direct damage on top of the tower. And actually, Grieco is using the snowball variation instead of the no spell variation, but it's still just a snowball. It's going to be hard as the game goes on to get that final 500 HP worth of damage.
And I think I saw it in the chat earlier, I don't know if someone said it this time, but people go, hey, well, Goblin Barrel's a spell. Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. I know that it's categorized as a spell, but no one thinks of it as a spell. When we say spell, we mean a non-troop card that does specific, or a non-troop element at least, right? Because you have Royal Recruit, which has its drop element.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Royal Delivery.
Right there, I don't like that Valkyrie. I think he could have played it off into the on the inside of the map, so that way the Valk wouldn't have splashed on top of the Suspicious Bush. It's a small mistake, but it can definitely create some problems because of it.
You know, part of me thinks they named it Suspicious Bush just to make it hard for casters.
What can we get away with? Yeah, that's certainly their thought process right there.
Final minute No one's broken this thing open. 89 HP separating crosswise, bottom right to top left. Grieco with the lead, does have dual lane pressure as well. Mohamed Light has not really started putting a significant bit of offense together. Have to imagine that some minor poison plays going to start coming on the right-hand side with haste.
And right there, great defense, 2182, 2011, the lowest tower. So Mohamed Light in the lead by 95 HP with 22 seconds left. But that is going to be something on top of the tower. No, not quite.
957, poison ticking away on the bottom right-hand side. Grieco has to get on tower and get on tower quick. Maybe a snowball plus barrel here. Snowball goes to the, barrel goes to the inside. Log more than up to the task. And Mohamed Light shuts it down here in the lower bracket finals.
Yeah, a very quick, clean 2-0 victory. Mohamed Light.
So there is some data there. Of course, Mohamed Light won that one 2-0.
As he does. That was crazy. I mean, that month was stacked. He beat Pedro, Ian, Dominic, and Mugi and Ta and didn't drop a game. Like, that was wild once he got sent down to the lower bracket from Faust. So here we are talking about our second monthly final. Here is our last monthly final. Golden tickets already up, given away, and now this is a $6,000, well, yeah, kind of a $6,000 best of three if Ta wins.
Very possible. Demolisher does touch something, which I feel like the Demolisher kind of rarely actually makes contact anywhere.
Yeah, Demolisher is really just it's such a fascinating card. I don't know if it's too strong, but I do think it's just been a really interesting card to bring into the game.
Yeah, it's like, what if a bomber went wacky?
Yeah, and like you talked about it having like such good defensive capabilities even after it dies, which is, you know, even after it stops putting out its own DPS, which is really interesting. And Mo going with this, or excuse me, Ta going with this deck that I am a big fan of. Should match up pretty well against this deck. Prince not the greatest cover for Drill, but you have the Skeleton King, the Bomber, and the Goblin Gang. Prince, though, will do good against the Monk, which is kind of nice.
Nice bit of reflection here, and the Prince picking up some help from the Bomber against those Goblins. Here we go. Miner into the front. Ice Spirit controls the Prince. Prince doing a nice job tanking for that Miner. Will get it some extra damage. Not enough to put Ta back in, but at least closing the gap a bit. 25-62, add that down. Now that Bomber gets away. 23-32 to 21-22. Quite close at the moment.
And I like that placement on the Demolisher there from Mo. Now going to help out with the Skeleton King. Skeleton Dragon's going to come in, and that's really what I think, you know, Ta's going to have to focus on is these Skeleton Dragons and making sure that he's baiting out the Teslas, right? Because there's really not a great way to get up top of those Skelly Drags, so they should be really impactful in dealing with, you know, every Demolisher that comes down the lane, you know, the Goblin Gangs plus, or excuse me, the Goblins plus. I feel like those Skelly Drags are going to be really nice.
And a little reflection against the Cannoneer. Have we seen Mo play non-Princess Tower today?
I do not believe so. And from what most people are saying, I know there was a minute there, and Cannoneer still played a decent amount, but it felt like there was a moment there where everyone thought Cannoneer was going to just be the new Dagger Duchess, and that kind of came and went pretty quickly.
2 minutes left as we enter sudden death overtime. Ta has battled back into this one. Evo Drill out, and that Prince is being sent all over the board.
Yeah, and that high Tesla to take out those Skelly Drags is going to be interesting because when he's not in triple, it's going to be harder to get back around to another Tesla. As you see, there's this overwhelm coming at the bridge. That Demolisher, though, that's what I'm talking about defensively. What a great job cleaning up all of that spam.
And Ta now with the lead with 80 seconds left in the game. Monk Reflection trying to change that tune. 1606 to 1563. Ta still maintains.
Yeah, the Monk reflection is something that's kind of fascinating for Ta as this game has gone on to have to recognize, like, this is a problem. If that's 200 damage every time that Monk comes across the bridge, how much do I need to spend on keeping that Monk from getting across the bridge? Or what do I need to do to make that Monk less impactful? Because as of right now, Monk's been doing a pretty good job for Mo. Bomber on tower.
Wow.
No, Bomber back.
Wow.
Oh, the reflection. I did not see it come off in time. Really nice there from Mo.
That reflection just saved an opportunity. Still Ta with a pretty big lead. It would have been GG well played, though, had that Bomber and Mortar both not been reflected. Mohamed Light trying to find a way to claw back in this one.
Yeah, this kind of just goes back to what we were saying earlier about, like, you know, miners get on towers. That is what miners do. Even the drill is having a very difficult time getting on tower. Right here, Ta gets the miner on once again. Mo has to spend the Ice Spirit there. Evo drill is going to come in, but Skeleton King does a great job. Although the Skeleton King, there you go. Prince does have to come down.
And the Monk you saw didn't get that 200 damage reflection. So a huge problem for Mohamed Light. Arrows should be enough to keep the gap, and game one for Ta.
3-0.
Oh boy.
That's, I mean, this is
really concerning me. We are far enough away that no one's trying to hide decks at this stage,
Yeah.
right? We still have a couple of months before World Finals, so both guys just going all out. Let's see if Ta can make it a clean sweep. 4-0 against Mohamed Light this August.
a good classic Mo fan. Mo isn't trying and Ta is cheating. So that's everything coming together for Ta there in that sense.
Sounds.
This has
I was
been.
gonna say it sounds like a different content creators fan than.
Yeah. I do think what was really interesting about that last game, and this is, wow, again, then Mohamed Light decides to bring out the Suspicious Bush, is that Mo really had a hard time finding good places for his poison in game number one, right? Like, it just felt like the Skeleton Dragons were never in the right place. The Prince and the Skeleton King are not good to poison off. There was just so much going on there. Yeah, Mo just had a really difficult time finding a place for all of his cards. So here we go. Game number 2. This could do it for our monthly finals.
I feel like the Suspicious Bush. Thank you, devs. I feel like the Suspicious Bush needs a theme song, right? There needs to be some sort of
Yeah.
song that plays. I don't know if it's like a do 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 do, or if it's something more ominous. But either way, it needs one.
I feel like with the way that Clash is, it would probably be the prior, but I think an ominous sound would actually be incredible for the Suspicious Bush because it is already a hilarious card that Mohamed Light is cycling like mad right now.
Yeah, I mean, also today's got me thinking of, has anyone gone full meme on this and run like a under 2.0 Suspicious Bush mirror cycle and just tried to fill the board with these things?
I'm sure it's happened, but I do want to see the content.
Yep. I'll watch your video, people. Get it done. And RG in front of the Evo Wizard. Cannon's
Yeah,
low.
Mo doing a good job with this deck that a lot of other people have struggled with. I like the Little Prince in the deck, though. I think it does a good job of kind of adding a spell, right, because of the dash. And apparently AC is saying that Riley on YouTube did a 1.9 cycle with Suspicious Bush.
Well, now I have to go watch it. That sounds fun.
Yeah, same.
How many can you, with how slow it goes, how many can you get on the board at the same time?
Nice E-Spirit there to retarget that Royal Giant, but it feels like Ta should already be back around to another Royal Giant very, very soon, and does have a slight Elixir lead. And the double pull here is going to be really nice.
2 minutes left.
And that Bush, the opposite lane, I feel like unless Mo really supports it, it's going to be completely ignored by Ta, and he's going to just pour everything into this right-hand side. And that is what we are seeing at the moment. But
And
again,
these
that
bushes
takes an
doing
hour to get across the board.
Oh my word. Are we there yet?
Seriously. And he does respond to it an hour later.
And maybe Ta certainly way ahead here. But there has to be some frustration where you're like, can you get where I need you to be so I can respond to you, please?
I mean, that's how, honestly, that is one of the most unique things about that card, is because that does happen, where you drop something because you figure it's on your tower and it's still like 4 tiles away somehow. And also, can we just talk about how Mo had a massive lead, being the only tower on the board damaged was like Taz at 2033, and since then, nothing has really happened to that tower, and now Mo's tower is down to 914, and you can see him smiling. I think this is the smile of Mo going, what is happening here today? Like, I need to figure out this code behind Ta, because he is putting me to work.
Yeah, this is certainly fascinating. And you know what we're seeing here is the battle of 2 decks that have either been dominant or dominated, right? And I think that's a fascinating part of this too, is trying to figure out, well, both of these certainly have their uses, but how and when do you pick them?
Mo's got so much on the board, and now actually gets a pretty good damage on that left-hand side. 20 seconds remain. Now goes barrel to the right, since the towers are pretty even. He's trying to support this suspicious bush, but I actually think that maybe should have went to the left if he wanted to narrow things down. Not gonna matter. Ta with an incredible final performance in our monthly finals.
Absolutely wow. And you see how pumped he is.
Yeah.
And after so long, the winner of our second ever monthly final years ago, back in 2021, questions. We said, don't worry, to the production back then, you'll never see this guy again. And boy, were we wrong.